live. Welcome, everybody. Hash Church, Season 12, Episode 28. Very cool. Very, very cool. Yeah, let me just get everything sorted out here. I got all sorts of stuff going on this morning that I need to deal with here. And I'm a little stoned still from last night. Maybe not, actually, but a couple gummies did the job. Okay, so we've got the record going, we've got the live going. Great. We will shout out our sponsors as we always do. And I know how to do that. I'm going to use a different picture than I normally use for Puffco today. And that is because this picture is such a cool photo that my good friend Sean took the other day while he was over here cutting trees. That tree is about 100 feet off the ground. I thought it was a pretty cool little view. And what a cool way to start out with elevate your sessions at Hash Church, right? With Puffco's cutting edge lineup. Starting with the innovative Pivot, a pocket-sized dab pen that delivers the full rig experience on the go, featuring that quick release 3D chamber for premium flavor and real-time temperature control with 4 heat presets and haptic feedback. For epic group rips, you can dive into the one you're looking at right now, the Puffco Peak Pro. In fact, this is the special plasma Puffco Peak Pro, powered by the revolutionary 3D XL bowl technology. Offers massive rips, larger chamber, more vapor, even heating from the sides, and an XL joystick for fuller loads with less reclaim. And don't miss the new Proxy Core, the modular portable powerhouse with 4 precision heat settings, fast 90-minute charging, boost mode for intense hits, and easy disassembly for seamless cleaning. Perfect really for everyday adventures, perfect for Puff, and support Puffco's game-changing innovation by heading over to www.puffco.com or following at Puffco on Instagram. That's what I would do. Follow them. You can also elevate your solventless game at Hash Church with the Press Club's premium lineup of rosin extraction essentials. They're proudly supporting the community through top-tier tools that make clean, potent concentrates a breeze. Really, from their legendary rosin bags with the proprietary pink stitch and 0 blowout guarantee for unbeatable durability and yield, to award-winning wash bags, premium parchment paper, pre-pressed molds, and the innovative Press Club rosin press for precise heat and pressure control. Really, whether you're crafting at home or scaling up, their ISO swab stations and collection plates keep your setup spotless and efficient, all crafted with 100% food-grade dye-free nylon for contaminant-free results that preserve those precious terpenes. You can join the Press Club in championing Hash Church by heading over to thepressclub.co today and gear up for your next epic adventure. All right, there we go. Let's see how today's going to go. I would say just a quick little message here. As soon as you humanly can. I just started. Just letting Luke know. All right. Everyone, anyway, welcome everyone. I hope you're all having a wonderful Sunday. I see the crew is in the chat. Arn and Booth and Tame and James and Emid Otter. Press Club spoon for the love. Love those Press Club spoons. I loved all that Press Club stuff. I have given almost all of it away. I don't think I have any left. Otherwise, I'd still be giving it away. I also gave away the Puffcos that I had. I gave a good friend of mine, Shay, a Puffco the other day, as well as Frank's fiance at the 710 Lounge party. Hooked her up as well. Thank you to Puffco for allowing me to do that. Such a nice thing to be able to do. I'm just... There we go. There we go. We'll see how it goes. I sent out my invitations very late last night. So when I do that, I often wonder if I'm going to end up with anyone in the chat. You know, Colin's busy with his family. Dr. Mark's doing stuff. Etienne likes to come in fashionably late, you know, within the first hour. So anyway, I got lots to talk about. I'll load up a bowl and we can have a talk. Oh boy, this fucking baller fridge I have is on its way out. I don't think you guys can hear it, but it's slowly dying. Slowly. It's lasted a long time though, so no complaints. Hope everyone had a wonderful 710. We had a very nice time here in Vancouver. I was quite surprised. My friend Andrew Gordon has started a new little facility, a group that he's working with at Eggs Canna. And I was really, really impressed with it. This is the space, just to show you. This is a private, it's going to be a private lounge in Vancouver. In the daytime, they've made it so nice, they want to make it a workspace. So in the day, it'll be like a legal cafe, no consumption, workspace. Come on and work on your computer and check things out. And then they're going to also do private parties at night, which may or may not be engaged with cannabis activity. And yeah, I just thought the space was really fucking nice. They also had a really nice smokers room, a room where you could smoke joints, which we did. We smoked a 2.5 gram Seedsman Haze joint, me and my homie there. And this is just a little smokers room with a really good HVAC. And just all around like a quality place. So shout out to those guys. I don't know when they're going to be, going fully public and really opening it up to everyone, but I hope soon. The space is beautiful. And I look forward to more lounges and private clubs. We do whatever we got to do. If they're not going to give lounge access, they're going to, they're going to have to, otherwise it's going to be underground clubs. And that's basically what's happened really all over the world. So sorry, just let me. I got people blowing up my phone today. All right. So Colin says he's coming in about 5 minutes. I'm just loading up some Zazul from If You Know, You Know. It's almost all gone because if you know, you know. I do have the worst lighting scenario. I need a light behind my camera that shines on my hash. That's what I need. That is what I need. Let's see if we can do that. Let's see if we can do that. Oh, what an idiot I am. Okay, there we go. We're getting it. Little bit. No, I'm an idiot. Forget it. It's not working. I always like the hash to be seen, of course. This is the way, Lord Sab. This is the way. Zazul is fire. So we're going to hit it up. We're going to rip a little Zazul. We're going to rip it out of the new Puffco Plasma. Shout out to Roger and Chelsea and that whole crew. Special shout out to Chelsea. She's going through some heavy shit right now. She got a little diagnosis of cancer. She's been doing chemotherapy. And so just want to let her know that, Hash Church and the whole Hash Church community is behind you, Chelsea. We're thinking about you. We love you. And we hope that you are going to be okay. We know, in fact, that you are going to be okay. There is no hope. It is pure knowledge. So we look forward to the day that you get your health back. And in the meantime, just thank you, Puffco, for constantly lacing everyone up. It's potent and it's powerful and it's very cool. And yes, Bingo Lombardi, fuck cancer. Hey, high integrity glass art 326. Is that you? Is that you, homie? Oh, maybe. That could be him. Does anyone know what the giveaway was? On whether it was him or not, my homie, who I just showed the pictures of? Yes. It was the hands. It was the hands that suggested you are you, my brother. My brother from another mother. That's right. My brother from another mother. It was good to see you. I don't get to hang out with my homie High Integrity Glass Art very often, but I do. When I do, I love to shout him out, and when I do, I am enjoying myself. So yeah, it was fucking awesome to hang out with you, dude. Smoking those joints. That Seedsman Haze was wonderful. The jars, the everything. It was just a really nice night. Sitting with everyone. I think we had a nice little, if you know, Bubbleman, 2 tables put together. I didn't even have anything to do at a table. I just wanted a private seat. So I requested a table and it was perfect. Even my wife showed up, which was awesome. This is at the party that I was at the other day after the venue that I just showed you from Andrew's thing that he's working on. We went over to a different venue, and then High Integrity Glass Art brought this pipe, which was absolutely fucking ridiculous. So this is the venue right here. Nice little waterfront venue, rooftop venue, waterfront. These are good homies of mine that I've known for like 25 plus years, and they just happen to be there playing music. There's Frank and his fiance. In fact, his fiance on the left here is the girl who ended up with the free Puffco. There's Al the Alchemist. Yeah, just snapping a couple of little pictures, me and my wife. And yeah, that's it. Another shot of the wife and me just having a nice time at the event. We don't get out very often. I'm not going to lie. So that was pretty nice to be able to get out. All right, let's have a quick little rip here. What a nice event. And shout out to Don Connoisseur Organics, Don Crom. He threw a nice event. He had a ton of food. The plates were massive. The band was ripping, and chocolate treats on all the tables and dabs all around. I think he had a heady marble contest at one point in time, which I didn't realize, or I would have brought my heady marble. But all in all, what a cool little event. And the venue was like at some rooftop patio that people get married at or something. So it was a very unique place in Vancouver to enjoy, and the people who all worked there were great. They were really focused on making sure everything got done the right way. I never had a point where there was no one to ask something or, oh, I need power. I had everything that I needed. So shout out to Don for pulling it off. It was a nice little event, and I quite enjoyed myself. Also, shout out to Dennis and shout out to Mark O'Cath from Craft Greenery for the kickdown on the shirt. Appreciate you. It's just a scratch. Right. I would also say shout out to High Integrity for moving through the world without reactivity. I'm hanging out with this guy. We're in the first venue. We come out of the venue. We can't find his vehicle. It has been towed. Dude, this guy, the worst thing that he did was like, oh man, that's going to cost me 300 bucks. That was the extent of his complaining. After that, it was all laughs and giggles. He wasn't complaining. It didn't switch his entire energy. He didn't become a huge dick. Do you know how important it is in life? And I can't promise that I do this all the time. I'm a reactive person. I tend to get upset and be upset and, make things worse sometimes. But I'll tell you, man, this guy was mellow. I drove him to the place. He ended up getting his truck. Everything was fine. We went back. He did indeed tell me, yeah, with the ticket and the fucking tow charge, it was 300 bucks. So he knew it. And he even laughed when he said it. I was like, oh my God, dude. And then later he hits me up and he's like, yeah, the tow truck scratched up the side of my truck when they towed me. And I'm just like, oh my God. It's like the temptation to lose your shit and get angry sometimes just keeps building and building and building until you lose your shit. So what I want to say is shout out to High Integrity Glass Art, because this is a guy that I don't think I've ever seen lose his shit. It's unbelievable. It is truly unbelievable. You are a fucking champion, Ro. I don't know how you do it, but I'm inspired by it, and I'm going to try and carry that with me today. When my opportunities to lose my shit arise, I am going to try and do what you do, which is just not react, just play it cool. It's such a much better vibe. Yes, Lord Sav, I have a lot of hats. Che was here the other day and he was like, you're a real hat guy, aren't you? I probably have 100 hats strewn all around my house. Well, it's better, Lord. You don't have to, or got to, as you put it, but You should. And big token 101. Thank you for bringing up Wade Laughter and his wonderful quote, compassion is a verb. I feel bad that I haven't shouted out Wade or Sam in the last little while. I think about them both all the time. So I apologize, guys, although I know the kind of people that you are. Sam would probably bust my balls for it. Wade would definitely not. I love you both dearly, man. I miss you guys. I cannot believe how lucky we were to have you both here on Hash Church for all those years sharing your nuggets, your dank nuggets. That's what you were sharing with us here on Hash Church. And it was not for naught. We are definitely going to do your information justice and continue to share it. And hopefully James and Bike will have this very complicated intelligence ready here in the near future where we can go over to hashbible.org and we can really start learning how to, I'd love for the community to practice all together. And James is often in the room in here. So yeah, he's right there as I said that. Any questions you may have for James, like really, I'd like to open it up for the core group here that are almost always here. And just make it so you guys also have access. You have the ability to, I think learning together, it's going to be like learning Google how to ask it a question in a very specific way. I already learned that just from hanging out with James for a little bit the other day on, I don't know if we were on Discord or WhatsApp or whatever, but one of those. So yeah, you can get in touch with James through our Discord. So if you want to communicate, but you can also text him right here. But yeah, you can get in touch with them through the Discord. Yes, respect and RIP to the vets. I saw a little one that teared me up the other day. It was a guy who was 100 years old on a plane, and the pilot was announcing, "We don't have royalty in this country, but we have the next best thing." And then he shouted out this veteran that had been on some historic, epic battle from 70 years ago or something. Pretty wild stuff. Pretty amazing. Shouting out the old dudes that fought for the freedom. It's wild. Yeah, it's good to have respect for the elders. I mean, look, I still don't understand war. I do understand valor, and I do understand the respect. I felt it in America when I visit there, that the Americans have for their vets. Of course, I've learned that respect from being good friends with Etienne and many other vets for that matter. It's crazy shit. Going and getting sent off to countries to fight wars is wild, crazy shit. It's unbelievable, really. You can't really fathom it. I mean, I guess we have it kind of up here, but not really on the same level. Our military is very small and insignificant. So although we go, I think, and help groups, I don't think we do much other than that, which is fine with me because I'm not a big war guy at all. It would be nice to have a better way to work through things. Although with the internet, you can kind of see sometimes how people are unreasonable. And you certainly don't have to be on the far left or the far right to disagree. People can find anything to disagree about. And certain people can be fervent in their disagreement, which is always dangerous because it always escalates things. What's going on, Dread Smokes Weed? All right, Dr. Mark is coming on in 10 minutes. We got Luke from Mock Technology who's going to come on and talk about the course that I'm doing at the end of the month here in Michigan. So they'll give all the details for that. I'm pretty excited about that. There's a little golf game afterwards. The next day, I think there's like a golf tournament or something that we're going to do. I am not a golfer. I haven't golfed since I was very, very young. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to hanging out with the boys and girls over at Mock Technologies and meeting the Michigan folks again. What I find about Michigan, had a great 710 Dread. I'd love to hear about Dougie's event, but I know you hate to come on camera and talk. But if you did want to come on camera and talk about that event, I would send you the link in a nutshell. What else was I saying before I got strewn over that way? I don't know. It'll come back to me. Um, but I would love to hear about that. Yeah. Yes, yes. And I've also missed I miss being in Denver on 710. I know those guys had a great time at the reserve. There was amazing fireworks. Kyle was sending me pictures. Ian Shuggy was sending me pictures. Whole bunch of different folks that were over there were sending me videos and photos, and it looked awesome. So wherever you were, oh yeah, Michigan. So Michigan, I love Michigan, dude. There's a hardcore group of fucking the community of Michigan. I love the hash community of Michigan. It is like prides itself on staying current and even pushing the boundaries of what can be done with solventless. I think it's pretty fucking cool. So yeah, yeah, the new Pepsi challenge, exactly. BHO or rosin, that's hilarious. The Pepsi challenge was big, man, for both those groups. That is not, yeah, I'm going to be in Michigan, Lord Sav. I will be in Michigan on the 25th till the 31st. I will be in Michigan with Mock Technologies in the UP up north of Detroit, I believe. We're going to be at this guy's facility, and we're going to do a course for the first day, and then the next day there's a golf tournament. But Luke can come in and talk about all that and show his graphics and whatnot. How you doing, Caleb?
I'm doing well. Good morning, Marcus. Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, dude. Good morning is right. I've just been have a nice little dab of the Zazul. If you know, you know, which is some pretty good fire right there. This is the if you know, you know silver tier. I am also rocking some if you know gold tier. And this one's the special K.
Is there a tier above that?
There is no tier above that that I've seen as of yet. He's in the chat right now. Maybe he'll talk about the platinum tier. But I think platinum and silver would look very serious on a sticker of a graphic. Very similar, not serious.
Hmm.
So yeah, what's going down? What did you do for your 710?
Oh man, I stayed in. I was gonna go to a Hash Week event, but I didn't make it. I'm gonna go today and tomorrow instead.
Well, let's celebrate Jomo.
Yes, exactly. Let's celebrate Jomo. I Jomoed
Let's
out.
celebrate Jomo. For those of you that don't know about Jomo, you should practice it because it is the polar opposite of FOMO, which makes you feel bad and makes you feel like you missed out and makes you feel just all around kind of like low vibe frequency. Whereas JOMO is actually the joy of missing out. It's the joy of loving being at home and just being like, you know what? I'm happy for all my friends that are there, and I really hope they're having the best time ever. I'm also really happy that I'm not there. I think Jomo pushes people sometimes that to places that they that they're not going to feel great necessarily. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need to miss out. So that's what I'm doing myself as well. I got so much traveling coming up. Oh, I've got one. Check this out. I bought my first eighth of cannabis at a legal dispensary the other day.
What is it of? I'm so curious.
Okay, so this is crazy. It's called Okay. It's called, oh wow, this looks like it got, oh, I see. It was a huge fucking, that's insane. I thought the buds were big. Dude, this was the bud that was in my jar. It's broken in half, but it goes together. So this bud, it's from a company called Rubicon Organics, and the company is called Simply Bear. Okay. And the cultivar is called Tangerine Sunrise. But here's the thing. I know nothing about tangerine sunrises. What I know is this is so fucking close to the sweet skunk. It's not even funny. And as a bud, I can kind of be like, oh, maybe it isn't the sweet skunk. But when I grind it up with a grinder, it's, in my opinion, like an unequivocally sweet skunk S plant. Now, I talked to Mickey the other day, who cracked the seeds of this, said they were like a 15-year-old seed, and it said Tangy S. And he honestly didn't know whether it was Tangy skunk or Tangy whatever. They were 15-year-old seeds. He cracked them and he got this. This is the closest thing to the smell of sweet skunk. It's got a wonderful smoke. It's very light and just lovely. Even when I put it under my wife's nose and she smelt it, because she's not a big cannabis fan, but she does have an appreciation for sweet skunk. She was like, oh, she's like, what? You can just buy sweet skunk at the store now? And I'm like, no, it's like something else. It's called Tangerine Sunrise. But I'm telling you, dude, the look of it, the feel of the bud, everything about it to me is sweet skunk. And it's fucking crazy that I think I paid 50 Canadian dollars for an eighth after tax, which is probably around like 40 US. It wasn't a cheap eighth, is what I'm saying. But very enjoyable. I don't think I'll be buying lots of weed kind of thing. Like, it did feel like a sort of novelty for me, but I did buy some weed. So there you go. I also smoked some of Dread's weed in Illinois, and that was really, really nice, dude. It was so nice to finally smoke your flower. You know, obviously I smoked his rosin. Big dude gifted me the most ridiculous baller jar ever. Like, it was really nice. Like, I go to a lot of places and people gift me all sorts of things all the time. Dread's gifting is on another level. That is like the highest level of like, oh yeah, Bubbleman's here. Check this out, bro. Baller jar. And it wasn't like a jar like this, right? It was a fucking jar. So thank you, dude, for your kindness. Thank you. And man, people loved that rosin. In fact, it was some of my favorite rosin I had on the entire trip. Dabs from New Mexico. All right, Jostracon 2935. We're with you. We're with you. So you said you were going to go out today. There's just like 7-12 things going on in your city.
Yeah, pretty much. The whole week, I think they started on maybe Thursday and going off until Thursday. There's a like hash career fair
Oh my
tomorrow
God.
in San Francisco, and I've like heard from people that are like, "Oh my gosh, I want to see what's happening there."
Damn, I want to see what's happening there. I would love to just walk around that fucking event. In
Yeah.
fact, what I'd really love is to need 5 people of my own and walk around that event and handpick the 5 best people from that event and be like, look, I need you in Canada. This is what you're going to be doing, but you're going to love it. And it's
Mhm.
beautiful.
Mhm.
Look at
I
you.
bet you could find those 5 people there. I bet you could. I mean, I bet there'll be some bags of some sort there. It's core part of it, right?
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. It's definitely an important part of it. Yes, Dread does hook it up the most with hash and subs. That's hilarious, Bingo. Oishi. Exactly, dude. Oh, I was smoking Oishi when I was gifted this hat at the Maid Gallery. Very cool. Very, very cool. I should have invited him in to talk about the event. Well, I'll get Dougie in here one of these days. We'll get him on church soon after a fresh event with a bunch of people that were there. I think it's hilarious what he's doing personally. You know, just stirring it up. You know, don't you whip the rosin? Yeah, you whip the rosin. Well, that's what Dougie's doing. He's whipping the rosin, boys. Whipping him into some pre-nucleated, ready to go, prepared for cold cure. Oh, well, there we go. Yeah, what else? That party was pretty hip. Those both events. I don't get out much, I'll be honest. I'm more like I go travel and do visit states and different provinces for cannabis. But what I don't really do is like go into the city a lot. In fact, we have a pretty good little community that's building of younger folks that I don't really know many of, but I saw a lot of them out when I was at the first spot in particular. was definitely just it's nice to see my city, Caleb, finally building some nice lounges. This is such an important factor. I think it's why I like the events so much, because the events like are predating the spaces, which is insane because you should
Yes,
be
it's
able to create
true.
the space first and then you create the events. But instead, we're creating events without the spaces, just using whatever space we can find, which we're going to talk about here very soon with Luke, who literally just came into the room. Welcome, Luke.
How's it
Uh,
going, Marcus?
I'm good. I'm doing well. Have you ever met Caleb?
I'm not sure if I have,
Well,
actually.
Caleb meet Luke. Luke meet Caleb. Caleb's
Great to
over
meet
on the
you.
West Coast. He came to us sort of via the Humboldt University there. He was doing some cool things like studying language of cannabis in music and sort of following the history of that and where it kind of, hip hop lyrics and stuff. And when the word dank started. So he just was doing these kind of out of the box things at the university. And that's at first how we kind of got pulled into the world of Caleb. So you
That's
should
super cool.
you should know him.
Super cool. Nice to meet you, Caleb.
Nice to meet you as well, Luke.
And
You are
Luke,
rooted.
funny
You
enough,
are
check this
rooted
out.
a little further. Go ahead,
I
Marcus.
I I met you both in Las Vegas. That's where I met you in person for the first time, which is interesting because Caleb was with me in Las Vegas. I don't want to say always, but definitely out of all the people I was with, you were there the majority of the time. We seemed to be hanging out quite a bit. But somehow you weren't there when I met Luke.
We were just sitting in our booth, I think, doing dab after dab, I think,
That
with
is
the
exactly
proxies
what was
there.
happening. I had just come from the Puffco
Yeah.
booth, and they had just laced me up with all that Puffco stuff. So it was like, hey, let's stop and talk with Dylan here over and check out the ATS and visit Luke. Do you want to know what's crazy about the name, the ATS?
Hit me.
So my lab in Vancouver, or Delta, that we started years
Mhm.
ago, and it was under the name Embark. New partners had taken it over, and I work with those new guys, and they named it. It's an actual number to count, but to put the name, it's ATS.
It's irony. I think the trichome separation isn't a real novel concept in the grand scheme of things, except for maybe how you're going about it. But
Yeah, but they
uh,
don't. What ATS stands for them is completely different.
ah,
It has everything
fair.
to do with the island that the lab is on, Anasis.
Okay.
And so yeah, it was just interesting. So yeah, welcome to Hash Church, dude. I think you should maybe give a little breakdown on mock technologies and who you guys are all about. I did bump into you guys in Vegas and had some good conversations. You guys linked up soon after that and said, "Hey, is there a way for us to do something together?" And so you guys are equipment manufacturers and maybe more than that. I'll let you take it away, and then we'll get into the event.
Yeah, appreciate that, Marcus. Yeah, it was great meeting you obviously last year in Vegas, and I think it gave us a good foundation to start some conversations about how we can, what we do in the space, how we can collaborate, et cetera, et cetera. And I think we found a good place here coming up. Like you just said, we'll talk about the event here in just a minute. But yeah, Mock Technologies, we're based out of Detroit, so we've been making capital equipment for various industries for pushing almost 100 years now. So we're a family-owned business, 4 generations deep, and about 8 years ago, um, we made a pretty big commitment to the cannabis space in general, and that's where we actually branded Mock Technologies was our cannabis-specific brand that we started essentially engineering and manufacturing all sorts of turnkey systems specifically for the cannabis and hemp space. So we started off, I think one of our flagship systems is that actually what you see right there on the screen, which was like an
How good am
automated.
I? Hey, how good am
you,
I?
you are as good as they come, brother. But we our first line was a fully automated cold ethanol system. So put a bag in, and then every piece of equipment from chilling through filtration, solvent recovery, decarb, distillation, oil comes out the other side. Then we got into hydrocarbon world and started making some very lab scale and commercial scale systems, integrating in some THCA and some downstream post production inline systems. And then over the last few years, we've been dedicating a ton of resources into coming up with some cool systems for the solventless space. So we've got some really cool I'm telling you what, you are dead on point this morning, Marcus. But that's our TSS, that's our bubble hash system. So we've got integrated water chilling, agitation, and filtration all in a single skid. And then what we're very excited about and what we actually rolled out at Vegas last year, which is I think kind of a sparking moment for us to get to shake a hand, was our ATS unit. And this was more geared towards the dry sift post freeze dried bubble hash world as a way to help polish and refine and isolate your trichomes from your hash material. So really our sweet spot is providing turnkey extraction systems to the space. And we've been able to evolve our offerings to involve, to be able to collaborate with different folks that have different skill sets. You, like yourself, in the solventless world, coming in and not only being able to, for us to help the industry by selling equipment, but then also being able to leverage really good, solid minds in this space that can help my customers who are license holders all over the world, standing up GMP compliant labs here in the States, internationally. But we get to leverage people like you and who have tremendous experience to help these guys understand how to go out there and make great concentrates. So we're an equipment manufacturer, yes, but we really specialize in helping everybody stand at the lab, getting their concentrate production in line with what they're trying, with what the business goals are, and helping them succeed in their market.
Well, you guys surprised me. I had no idea you guys have been around for like 100 years. That's fucking mental. That shows the wisdom of the company. I was surprised that you guys reached out to me and recognized, because first of all, this is an event you put on for your customers, correct?
Exactly. Yeah. So we've been doing an annual event. Every year we have a customer appreciation kind of golf tournament that we put on where we sponsor the whole thing. It's all of our customers and operators that come up and meet us in Detroit once a year. And then we've been able to expand that. And we normally tag team that like we are this year with an equipment showcase. So we'll have different pieces of equipment or types of technology, that we'd like to showcase or help people understand how to better implement that into their lab. And so, yeah, we're doing a sponsored event this year with you on Monday later this month. And we're going to highlight some equipment and have people come in who have interest in learning how to make some unbelievable hash, and then also have interest in learning some new technology. And we put the whole thing on. So we've got limited spots. People come up to Detroit, and we put on an intensive all-day class, learning about our equipment, learning about the process of hash production and making it. And I mean, once again, we're fortunate to have you coming up this year to be a part of that. And it just makes such a good impact. It's a way to give back to the community. We really foster that. I mean, it's one thing to be an equipment manufacturer in this space. Honestly, it's a pretty tough space to play in because the expectations of us are so low. I think over the years, there's been just so many come and go. So I think it's this event is a way for us to bring together all of the operators, everybody who's having success in this space and enjoying what they're doing and doing it for the right reasons. And that family just continues to grow. So.
Well, honestly, dude, I think it's amazing that you guys don't charge for this event, like you're sponsoring it all, which is really just a nice way of saying you guys are funding and paying for everything. It's this true customer appreciation. You almost have to be around for a while to really, I just don't see a ton of companies doing the same thing. I'm pretty excited to do it. It's one of the main reasons I decided to do it was that you guys were kind of like, no, this is like an appreciation a couple of days. We'll, get some people who know their shit out to talk about our equipment and to kind of like, that there's a sort of semi-vesicus where the two circles join, where you have the equipment manufacturers who want to do the best job that they can do. They get all nerdy, and it's like, man, you hang out with those guys. It's like they can't talk about anything other than machining. It's like, no shit. It's like that's how it's supposed to be. And then on the other side, you got the guys who are just like loving the hash. You know what I mean? Or want to learn how to access the hash. And it's really about getting those certain people like Logan, like Wolverine Dabs, to be able to, like myself for that matter, as we're talking about this course. But I just think it's really cool that you guys are doing it. I'm looking forward to the golf little tournament thing the next day. booting around on golf carts and having a blast and meeting all of you guys at Mock Technologies. That's and Michigan's such a great place. It's such a so similar to where, not similar in the sense that like same, I guess more like similar like Thailand, same but different.
Same but different.
From where I grew up in Winnipeg, it's very much like a blue collar sort of province. And so when I got to Michigan, I was like, oh, man, like Michigan kind of feels like home, like the province that I grew up in. And so I'm looking forward to just hanging out and enjoying some dabs and teaching this course, which as you have seen, is a fairly detailed course. It could be upwards of 8+ hours teaching that course, but we'll get it down to 4 or 5 and have some enjoyment in between for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast. I mean, I think we're going to be to hang out, shoot almost 4 days up there between the weekend before and then the Monday and the Tuesday. But yeah, I mean, if anyone's listening to this, we do have a few spots left. It's pretty limited event. I mean, we're only just because we're just trying to make it as impactful as possible for the people that are showing up. We'll try to get some recorded content out there in some regards to make sure that we're distributing a little bit of that information as best that we can. But if there's any interest from anybody that's around the Michigan area, or if you want to travel in, just reach out. I'm on Instagram. You can't help but find me. I'm on LinkedIn, anywhere you want to look.
Did my homie Papa Sift reach out to you?
He did. Yep. We're texting right now.
That's,
so we're
that's
excited.
That's my hash maker. So he's like, did you get a spot for me? I'm like, what do you mean, dude? You don't need a spot. You're my assistant. Like, what are you talking about? But I did. Then I was like, actually, you know what? Reach out to those guys. Fuck, for all I know, there's limited
just to make sure. Yeah. It's it's going to be, it's, I think what makes this so fun, one, highlighting some technology, all the stuff, running some equipment, going through the class. It's great. I mean, it's great to learn. But it's really the community that wins when we get together and do stuff like this. Being able to get good minds together, like you mentioned, grassroots, know your stuff hash, equipment guys, we know our equipment, and being able to marry those two worlds together is really only benefiting the operators. And so now, I mean, couldn't be more appreciative for you to agree to come down. Michigan is awesome. Dang, tons of blue collar there, and the amount of weed that we have in Michigan is pretty impressive. So I don't know.
It really is. And the IQ, the cannabis IQ that people have, particularly in the hash community, it's very high.
It's impressive. I mean, Michigan's one of those crazy markets where nobody thinks anyone's doing good in the world, and then there's so many people playing in the sandbox and succeeding. And
exactly.
It's that northern feel, baby. There's a lot of outdoor grow in Michigan. There's been a lot of weed being grown in Michigan for a long time. It's kind of like grassroots, like a little under the radar, I would say. When most people think of cannabis, they don't really think, oh, northern Michigan. It's not really the first place you think. So.
Yeah, I just hope it's not like 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
Gonna be humid. It's a middle of summer in Michigan, but I'll take 100 and humid over the late January feel in Michigan, though. I'll tell you that, where you haven't seen the sun in about 3 months and everyone's pale.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be a blast. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, fucking A, dude. I'm looking forward to it as well. And it's kind of a double experience for me because I'm gonna go and tour around with my sales reps down there, Yield Distro. They're a really cool team. They were the ones that kind of opened my eyes to how cool fucking Michigan was. There's so many. They must have 15 or 20 cool people that work at that company. Like, it's unbelievable the amount of just knowledgeable and fucking kind and just like the kind of people that you want repping your shit for sure. So I'm looking forward to getting back there.
I've been connected with them since you introduced us here a couple of weeks ago, just to make sure we can include, a few folks that are intertwined in our network. So yeah, I've been working with them and they've been absolutely tremendous. So damn excited, man.
So just a matter of hitting you up on Instagram, and maybe there's a few spaces that can still be filled if people want to hit it up. And it's in the north, right? Where did you say it was again?
Yeah, so it's in the northwest part of Detroit. Specifically, it'll be in Auburn Hills, which is where our manufacturing facility is at. So essentially, you'd come in Monday morning, or if you're coming from out of state, you'd probably come in Sunday. We meet at our facility Monday morning, and then we're gonna shuttle everybody over to the operator's facility where we're actually going to do the class at. So it'll be like 10 to 4-ish on Monday for the class. And then Tuesday, yeah, is an all-day golf event. So
I think I'm coming in a day early because I didn't want to like mess with Hash Church, which is on
yeah.
Sunday. So I think I'm coming in on Saturday, and then we'll do a big we could do a big Hash Church.
Oh, maybe we could, you know what we could do? Maybe we could do it where we're actually going to do the event at, and we can do it where the ATS with the little cold room, do it like at that lab. That could be kind of
100%.
dope.
Yeah,
That could be
absolutely.
cool.
As long as
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
internet connection is solid, I have a laptop. We can do it wherever.
Oh, that'd be cool. Let me talk to Ben. We'll see if we can arrange that. That'd be super cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys out in Michigan if you're in and around that area. It is, what is it? The 27th. We just had it up. The 27th
Yep.
and 28th. 27th is the actual little class. And yeah, go check out Mock Technologies on Instagram and hit up Luke and maybe get yourself involved. I think it's going to be really fun and it'll be worth it. And I always like to really connect with the people. I did one of these recently for Low Temp in Colorado, and I've got a WhatsApp group with all the hash makers. They all have my number. We're all kind of still in touch, some more than others. I got to actually hit that group up today and let them know I'm thinking
No,
about them.
there's a couple from that group I think that's actually making the trip up again because there's a couple of those guys implementing the ATS into their labs. So yeah, it's a cool community. I think that's really the name of the game. Like what we try to focus on is fostering these community events that people can just get good quality info from, because man, in cannabis, anyone knows there's just so much noise, and it's hard to find, the people who are winning, because everybody says they're winning all the time, and it's just kind of an interesting space. So it's like you can really get in with those folks that are doing it right.
I don't even
That's
know
the
if it's the
difference maker.
space as much as the way social media has hijacked how we create the lens of the space. And the lens is show everyone your podium wins, show everyone how awesome your life is, show everyone the perfect everything, but don't show them the scrapes on your knees and the blood, sweat, and tears and the crying and the breaking and the pain that it takes to get to these places. Which, if we celebrated that, I think it would be different in a big way. I think it would invert into a more authentic way of promoting things.
Absolutely. I think you just nailed it. It's something that, actually it's something that like comes up in business all the time, because when you see people promoting like only the goods, like you're saying, like, oh man, they're selling all this stuff, they're doing so well, things to be going so well, and then they're out of business 6 months later. And it's like, well, that doesn't add up. Like, how does that even work? Like, and I think understanding that the struggles are going to come, like you said that so well, because it goes back to how, like, just personally for me, how I go about speaking to customers and developing relationships. Like, it's not all going to be sunshine and rainbows. Like, that's just that's not a realistic way to go through, a business relationship, life, waking up in the morning, whatever it looks like. And so I think having that understanding that there's going to be some challenges and that you're willing to work through it can really make that win feel even better. But to your point, people just like talking about the fun stuff. They don't like to get into the weeds much and deal with the problems. So
yeah, ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Which is yeah, it's kind of been the metaphor of water extraction all these years. And it's kind of interesting because your company covers both of them. And when you go through it, when you saw all the, like when I first started making bubble, it was, I got lucky, or maybe I didn't. Maybe I had the ability to find really high quality herb. Everyone thinks they have the best weed back in the day. If you considered yourself somewhat of a connoisseur, everyone just was like, well, I have the best weed. This is the best weed. Like, look at this weed. Like, look at how crystally it is. Look at how, and then the bags came along and we're like, well, the bags are kind of like the word of God. We're just going to put it in here and mix it up. And then whatever comes out the other end is going to tell us how good your weed was.
Yep.
And that full melt bubble showed up in very few places. And then the other people got sand, and they weren't, like, it was still strong, but I think what they were looking for were the pictures that I was posting, those wet, ashy, delicious outrageous photographs that people were like, they make their mouth water. They're like, how do I make it look like that? And I'm like, well, I mean, dude, you got to grow that. That's what you got to do. They think they're doing something wrong in the process. And then instead of taking that difficult road, a lot of people went the more simple road, which they still are in a sense with rosin, which is if you grow the flower correctly the first time, there's almost no reason to squish it because it'll be like a 95% return. And so, but before rosin, there was sort of BHO was the main kicker. And 99% of people who made hash that came out sandy were like, well, what the fuck is this? Like, you can't even, what do I do with this? It's like, you run it through a solvent. And so to me, and I shouldn't look at it like this because Dr. Mark, who just walked in, clearly won't look at it like this because this is the science of the chemistry of cannabis. But I looked at it more like, oh, instead of going down the journey of learning how to grow the most exceptional weed, you took a right turn and now you're just going to blast everything. But what I didn't realize was within that right turn, there were still people who were like, what if we grew better weed? What if we grew better weed and made hash and then blasted the oil? So then I was like, okay, they're fine over there. They've got the obsession the same way we do over here, and they're going to find themselves at the same place. Now, the fact of the matter is the same way rad source is a way to remove microbials from your plant. If you happen to fail and you're trying to do an export and you need to save a 20-kilo lot exists, it's used to grow horrible, shitty weed that you can just rad source at the end of the thing. So it's always a double-edged sword. So the part of the BHO that I was more upset with was that everyone just took all their shit and then blasted it. And I was always like, I'm well past that perspective now. But now I see a lot of the rosin people doing the same thing. Most of the rosin that is pressed is from hash that we would all grade as mediocre, as a 4-star at best. Maybe it has a sizzle, maybe it even melts a little, but it's certainly nowhere near. And you can tell this by the yield, right? Unless you're getting like 85+%, you're nowhere near a 5-star. If you're yielding 60%, well, you're definitely like in the 4-star range. Maybe even getting into a lower range, just by how much oil you get. And then of course, there's what is the quality of the oil? Because how much you get is only like 10% of the importance. What is the quality of said oil? What was preserved and acquired and created and expressed by the plant? So I'm not sure what that whole rant was all about, but I liked how it all fit in with Dr. Mark coming right in as I got to the chemistry of the plant. And how's it going, Dr. Mark?
Hey, what's going on? Hey, Luke.
We're welcoming Luke here. Do you know Luke?
Yeah, no, Luke, nice to meet you. I was just in your stomping ground. So my in-laws live in Rochester Hills. My brother-in-law lives on Lake Orion. So we were just, out on Lake Orion last weekend or weekend before, I think. Father's Day, whatever that was. But we stopped at at Joyology, right? Because they live. So my in-laws are like Adams and Dutton, and so right at the end of, I don't know, is it Silver Bell maybe? There's this place called Joyology. I'm sure you know Joyology, right?
Yep, familiar with them.
Yeah, for those of us who are old enough to remember. So the Palace at Auburn Hills used to be right down the road, and I saw the Grateful Dead there a number of times. I think I saw Fish there once or twice too, now that I think of it. But so this is right down the road from where the Palace, Auburn Hills. My father-in-law used to be the plant manager at the Orion plant there, the GM plant, which is this huge GM plant that makes all kinds of cars and employs all kinds of people in the area. So anyway, while I was at Joyology, I picked up some live resin. This is from a place called Humblebees. Do you know these cats?
I will say I do not know Humblebee, and that's surprising to me because let's just say I've built out more than a couple hydrocarbon labs up there in Michigan. Who is now that you got me thinking? Actually, I'm curious who they are.
Dude, you were in Michigan and you didn't buy Bubbleman brand full mount?
So Marcus, if you remember correctly, I texted you while I was at the dispensary saying I don't see Bubbleman brand. And I asked everybody that worked at the dispensary with a card. I said, "Hey, have you ever heard of Bubbleman brand?" They're like, "No, man,
What
what's
was the
Bubbleman?"
dispenser again?
Joyology?
Oh,
Joyology?
Joyology.
Yeah. I think is that Silver Bell there, Luke? Maybe I is it so
I'll have to
yeah.
go back and check, but Marcus, I
Yeah.
think
So it's
maybe
just
we
one
should
up from
do a
Dutton,
little.
whatever the mile road is there, right?
We'll
So
go hit up some people on Joyology and see if we can get Bubbleman in there. That's surprising to hear.
yeah, absolutely. Well, it was a very they had an incredible I mean, just to let you know, to give you my background, I did my undergraduate up at Michigan Tech, so I was in the UP from 81 to 87, right? And I can
Oh,
tell you
cool.
during the 80s, there was no good weed in the UP at all. None, zero. Until we brought it back from Grateful Dead tour. So we used to go see Grateful Dead down at Alpine Valley and Pine Knob and other places like that. We brought Grateful Dead weed back to the UP, and so we were up in the Keweenaw, right, which is way
Mhm.
the hell up there.
Way up there.
And yeah, so there were some people growing weed from bag seed that we got on Grateful Dead tours. So that's a story for another tour. But the real funny thing is that, Luke, I used to do a lot of business with the guys at Precision. So I knew Charlie Richardson pretty well, and I knew their founder pretty
Rest in
well.
peace, Charlie.
I know. I found out about Charlie's passing just a handful of weeks ago, and it really moved me to kind of look back at my thread with him and threads, multiple threads and pictures I took with him and Sylvia. Charlie was a great guy. So, Luke, I consulted mostly with hydrocarbon labs, putting in hydrocarbon labs, and we put in a lot of PX1s and
Yep.
PX whatever, yada, yada,
And
yada is right and had a bunch of those Punishers running, right? Those things were badass compared to those old Haskell pumps, which were never meant for
facts.
Well,
never meant for.
maybe next year, Dr. Mark will be at the golf tournament.
Yeah, there you go. So what happened there? So Precision was they were bought out by Agrify or something like that, or taken over. What happened to the pieces of that company? Because man, I've set up probably more than a dozen different labs with those extraction
Yeah.
machines. They work like champs. I mean, we run them till we can't fit anything else in the oven. Those things were running like there
Yeah.
was no tomorrow. So what
Yeah.
happened with Precision? And yeah, God rest Charlie. Let's blow a hit towards the Vatican for our good friend Charlie Richardson, who is a great guy. He got me into
Facts.
MJ BizCon a couple of times free, and I was like supposedly like an employee. But I was never really an employee, and Brian Towns was like, "Oh, Mark, just fake it, man. Just show up at the booth, say some really important chemistry things, and people will, oh, kid, look at that. That guy's here. We must buy that equipment." So anyway, go ahead. What do you know
Yeah.
about the crashing of
Yeah.
Precision?
Yeah, well, RIP Charlie, obviously. Yeah, they're from Michigan. We're from Michigan. We know those guys well, and have known them for years. And yeah, I mean, Precision was a critical part of kind of building the industry. There wasn't a lot of real equipment manufacturers that did anything for the space. A decade ago, I think it was really just a lot of operators figuring out, what to do, where to buy this vessel, that vessel, these tubes. There was nothing kind of off the shelf, so that was something that they did tremendously well, was give operators one a source to be able to just go get compliant equipment, right, or equipment in general. And so I think what happened, well, essentially what happened to Precision was they had sold to another company. They sold to an overseas company, Agrify, and Agrify, from the understanding of things, had some challenges. They had acquired a good amount of companies at that time in various spaces in cannabis, and I think that consolidation effort fell a little short, I think, in regards to what their goals were. So I know that I've heard from a lot of operators that a lot of that equipment that's been in the field doesn't have anyone necessarily to directly support it. I think there's a couple of companies that might that had bought some of the old inventory and
Mhm.
are likely supporting it now. I honestly couldn't tell you exactly who it is. I don't know if it's one or if it's a couple of different companies who are providing like support services for that equipment in that lab. but I hear operators all the time. That's really been one of the biggest problems with this space is that equipment manufacturers come into it, they sell equipment, and then they, sell, go out of business, rebrand, change a name, something like that. That's happened to probably 70% of equipment manufacturers over the last 8 or 10 years. And Precision, unfortunately, was kind of one of them that fell to the wayside similarly.
And what was the year that Mock Technology was founded?
So I want to say it was like 7.5 years ago. So that would have been, what was that, 2019, give or take?
Oh,
And right about there.
What were you saying earlier about 100 years?
So our parent company, Works Manufacturing.
Yeah.
That's based up in Port Huron. So when we first we kind of branched, I don't want to say we branched off because Mock Technologies is our own company, but we leveraged a ton of resources from our parent company back then. Until now, we've kind of grown off into our own little baby. But yeah, that family-owned company, Rob is one of the 3 brothers. So Rob Wirtz is the president of Mock Technologies.
Okay.
And then there's 3 brothers. John is his oldest. John is the president of Wirtz Manufacturing, and then Jason is the 3rd brother, and Jason is a critical part here at Mock as well. So there's a lot of we'll call it synergies between the companies, but Mock is just our cannabis specific company. So
right,
So
and
let
the
me-
parent company. Go ahead, Mark.
Let me take a guess, right? Just because you're in the Detroit area, somehow you guys were servicing the automobile industry in some way, shape, or form, right? Machining
Yeah,
something, tooling something, something to do with air conditioning, or what did you
Good
guys
guess.
service industry or something?
it did have to do with the auto industry. We our angle was battery recycling. So we came up with we have some world-leading technology or industry-leading tech in like casting of batteries, like for die-hard batteries, like car batteries, things like that. And then so not only do we help them mix and make the batteries, but then we do a lot on the backside of that with like recycling of that. And then we have so many different little specialized companies. We do some stuff in like the pick and pop robotic arms. So if you think like an assembly line with like parts of a car running down it, these robot arms are like grab and stack in these massive facilities that have automation, which is why that's something that we really push here at Mock Technologies is automation in our equipment, ease of use, etc. And then we do some like specialty medical equipment manufacturing. So we're used to using some unique types of materials, I'd say. So really diverse set. But yeah, you were right, dead on. Car industry, batteries, right? So
Yeah. Well, most industries in and around Detroit, I mean, that's like people think, well, yeah, that's just cars, but there's a whole layer of support industries all and around. And I did my undergraduate at Michigan Tech. I did my PhD at Wayne State, right? So
Okay.
I lived at 9.5 and between John R. and Woodward. So
That was your life.
I know Detroit really well, and I played in a Grateful Dead cover band in Detroit back when I was in graduate school, so I had a lot of fun at
Super
the clubs
cool.
too. But like if you think about, again, like the tolerance that you need to have in automobile manufacturing, and certainly you were talking about like medical device stuff. I mean, yeah, kind of like way beyond like what cannabis like, oh, just load a sock full of material in this column, wash it with a bunch of solvent. It's it's like not really
Yeah.
rocket science if you think about it, right?
No, to be honest, I think that's very well said. And I think that's really what allowed us to come in and make an impact with the equipment because we didn't, we had the people that understood the science, right? Like if you understand hydrocarbon extraction, get it to a temp, keep it, soak it this long, keep the temp there, right? Filter it with this, recover it with that. The process isn't revolutionary, but we were able to make the equipment do a lot of the work with a lot of the tools and with that automation and the software engineering and the design behind it. So I think that's what I agree. The science of it is science, right? If you get that down, just do it every time and it's going to work. But the automation and all those other kind of core competencies allowed us to put together cool equipment beyond just, hey, here's a column and we call it a hydrocarbon system because we have a column on a rack.
There is a difference between engineering equipment and slapping it together. That is for certain.
Column, not Colin. Colin's
Yes.
different. Right?
Not to be
Colin.
confused with Paulin Calmer, the Hash Church drummer and keyboard player.
Where are those guys at?
Don't mix that shit up.
He's in the room.
What's good, boys?
How you doing, Colin?
I'm doing great today. Beautiful day here on the East Coast. I mean, it's like feels like California out here.
Ooh-wee.
It is. It is a beautiful day on
Feeling
the
good.
lake.
So it's been cool listening to you guys. So Mock Technologies, seems to touch, you guys have a background in, let's call it, very traditional manufacturing, right, in engineering, and you have a passion for the hashing, it seems, which is awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. I
What
love the solventless world. Go ahead.
what kind of got you guys involved in manufacturing devices at scale? Like, was it something you guys have been kind of doing for a long time and you're like, wow, this is a great machine, we should offer this to others? Did you guys start from that point of view? How'd you guys get going with all this?
Yeah, I mean, so that's I find that that's a lot that's how a lot of ancillary companies find their way into cannabis these days is like, oh, we had this tool over here and we were using it for this, and then this tool can also be applied to this space. And I think that's how a lot of ancillary companies have come into this space.
For sure.
We took a little different approach where it was like we had the core competencies to manufacture equipment and to engineer equipment. And we looked at the space, and I think we were kind of just um, looking for a way to go apply what we were really good at in an industry that needed it, that needed off-the-shelf solutions from someone like us. And that was what we saw in
Yeah,
cannabis at the time. We just looked and I mean, honestly, from our place, we just saw a ton of opportunity and we saw a lot of gaps in what the operators were really getting from an equipment manufacturer. And, like if we sell if we build out a large facility for, manufacturing these batteries wherever, in India or South Dakota or wherever it might be, there was a certain process that you would get, right? Customer reaches out, they purchase, they make a purchase. We do a huge design work on the facility, and then you do the install, and then you have all this post support and all this training, and there's just a process to it. And when we looked at cannabis, there really wasn't that. It was like, hey, if you found someone that made a wash system, you would buy it and you would get it on a pallet, and it would maybe come with a sheet of instructions or something like that, right? And that was it. There wasn't any really support for the operators beyond buying equipment. And so
sure.
we had a different way of doing things. So we had found a couple of folks who had been in this game for a long, long time, black market labs, building equipment for other manufacturers, grassroots style, just putting stuff together so that there was something. And so we were fortunate where we had the engineering and the manufacturing background, but we really wanted to pull in people from the cannabis world who had been doing this for a while, that understood the challenges and the headaches of working in a lab. And then we
Sure.
wanted to make equipment that was going to go solve it. So we took a different approach. We didn't have our wash equipment for this other botanical extraction for this flower or this seed or this herb somewhere. And we're like, oh, it
Yeah,
could also work for cannabis. We just took a little different approach.
that's really cool. No, that's great. It's a great explanation. And as someone who's been doing this for the better part of my life, it's the tool that you've kind of created. I see when I look at the many tools someone could create, you really went after something that, quite frankly, at scale, with the type of material build that you have and the engineering behind it, and really the product dev, um, no one else is doing that, and that's what I've recognized, from looking at your work. So that's, big round of applause, and give your flowers where they're due. So, I thought that's the coolest part about it, because the concept of vac has been around, right? But like how we scale that has not, right?
Yeah.
Much like water hash, around, let's say, 2010, if you will, right? That's when it
Yep.
started to really kind of shift mindsets, from we're using trash cans to what about 304 or 316? You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
these thoughts kind of, it's really interesting. And I love that you guys have this machine that's a part of a greater process too. I think for the listeners out there, when I haven't used your machine, and all due respect, I hope to use it in some way soon. But from just a process point of view, it's more like a plug-in. It's like an addition. It's like high fidelity on, you know what I mean? It's like mastering music or something. You're bringing the high fidelity out of it to clean it up even further.
Yep.
which I really think is pretty, incredible. It adds this layer to things that, sure, you could do it, I guess, if you 3D printed a bunch of stuff and made screens and, set up a vacuum, but you're using materials that are inherently not food grade, and it doesn't really scale. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's really cool. So what can you talk about the materials a little bit? Like
Yeah.
what's it made of? Just so we
Yeah.
can all, like, even myself, learn about it.
Yeah, no. First of all, appreciate you. Those are some big words for never even have used the machine. So I mean, just being able to see that and hear about it and being able to share that with us, I will definitely pass that along. But no, I mean, I think that's really what we wanted to be able to provide, just a quality turnkey solution. And you talked about the materials. We have experience with all. I mean, 304, 316. We do GMP, EU GMP compliant labs. So sometimes these different labs and these different places around the globe require different materials, different certifications. And so we have the ability as a company to, engineer electrical boxes to CE standards or to American standards or whatever it might be. We can use the various types of materials. But yes, you're right. Standard is, I think, a 304, 316. It just depends. It's all just a price point most of the time for the customer and what the needs are. But certified, and it comes with a third-party engineering technical report, right? And all these nice things that just make everybody feel safe and good operating it. And essentially, it's designed to be easy to use. You're putting material on the top, you're pressing a button, you're walking away for 20 or 30 minutes, and it's going to polish it. That's you said it very, very well at the beginning. It is a plug and play. The ATS specifically is a plug and play to an existing lab. We can build out a whole lab with it. But there's so many operators out there that already have invested so much into their lab that this is just a way to make sure you're getting the biggest benefit out of your current process. It's just going to make it better. You put in your best quality a hash into it, it's just going to make it better. You put in your least quality mid-grade stuff, it's just going to make it better. So it's just a way to take out some of your stocks and stems.
Is it mainly, Marcus, have you used it? Is it mainly dry material, or could you put freeze-dried material in it and even further clean that? Is that also, how to explain that to everybody here? What's the
Yes. So it's originally best case scenario was in the dry process, like a dry sift. And then as operators started getting this in the field, we started having a ton of success with people putting post freeze dried bubble hash into it. And so we're going to test a lot of this. This is actually one of the most exciting things about what we're doing here in a couple of weeks up in Michigan for this class is we're going to be working at a licensed facility. So we're going to have the ability to have literally any and all types of material that we're going to be putting through this thing all day. And we're going to see live time results of the dry material, the post freeze dried material. And as we continue to evolve this system, we're hoping it might be able to solve some problems with some freeze dryers, but I don't want to get too far ahead of myself yet. So
make sure you have a microscope. And if you have it set up to a larger TV, that is always a very good look, because
100%.
when you pull something out, you want to just be able to see it super, super clearly and be able to see, like, getting all those tails pulled out is really what that is doing.
100%. And we are going to have that. It's going to be awesome. That was a great suggestion that you had given me, Marcus. So I'd pass that along to the internals. So we'll be having the microscope. We'll have the whole setup. It's going to be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, we're going to be playing with hash, and that's always fun.
Right.
It's always fun. The fact that we're allowed to do that is incredible.
It's Play-Doh for adults.
I fought for it for so long, and the fact that it's like, I just can't believe that it just wasn't allowed, and now it's allowed, and it's also kind of allowed. Like, it's more and more and more. It's incredible. I mean, I believed it 30 years ago. Some of the older guys didn't. Some of the older guys that are like in their 80s now are like, this is surprising after it they lived under prohibition longer.
Right. Well, and I mean, it's what's even more unique. I mean, especially with what we do, is we're always teaching and training new operators, right? New people, new markets. I mean, for yourself, I'm sure you get hit up all the time, Marcus. Hey, I'm getting into hash. I'd love to learn how to do this or learn how to do that. And for Mock, we play in new markets every year. And so we're constantly educating and learning from, Germany. How are they going to implement their cannabis law? Because now they're buying, because they're getting on board. And you get France and you get all these places all over the world, but they all have their own ideas on how they want to implement it too. And so I think that's what's kind of interesting about cannabis is like, you said it right. It's legal-ish, kind of here, a little bit there. But if you cross that state line, now you can go to jail again. It's the U.S. is so interesting. But really just cannabis in general.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not wrong there for sure. I love it. Oh, I love it. What's everyone puffing on today?
I got this OG chem, which I love. It's like a Z. Actually, I gave some to you, Mark. Remember that jar? Did I give you that jar, Mark? No, not Mark Sheldon. I didn't give you the OG chem.
I got the super booth, remember?
I know, but didn't I give you a jar of the OG chem that tastes like Z?
That was me.
You didn't give it to me, but you dabbed me silly on it.
No, I hadn't made it yet before I gave you this.
We had some Z tasting shit in Boston.
Oh,
we did. I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember, but yes, we did. I gave you something like that. Yeah.
I just remember that in your car.
Yeah, that stuff was fire. Yeah. I remember I dabbed Tony when we were walking down the street with it, and he was like, "Holy crap, that's strong."
Really? He didn't say, "Check this out. It's way stronger."
No, he didn't. For the first time, he looked at me. He was like, "Damn, that was really strong." I was like, "Yep."
Wow.
He didn't do it.
Well, hell dog.
No.
Well, I was hitting Zazul earlier, but I think I'm going to change it up and maybe hit some Forum.
Ooh, I like the Forum. The original Forum is really delicious. It's got that.
This is a jar to be afraid of.
I like it. I like jars like that.
It's very potent. Gives people anxiety attacks. I'm going to try and have one right now.
Prove it.
No better time.
I'm going to do my best. Oh, there we are.
No better
There we
time.
are.
I'll be right back.
I was losing my dabber.
Excellent.
Yes. It's time to fill the Puffco.
Hey, Mark, a white jar because I couldn't have. Oh no, that's not. Wait, did I? No, I did.
You're still wondering what jar you gave him.
I can't remember. It bothers me. I'm like, why don't I remember the name?
You know what? Too many jars is all I can say. I did remember the Oishi from Dread, but that was like such a baller jar.
Yeah, Oishi's a great one too. It's
very nice. It's very
nice. I like the blue limeade too a lot. It's very delicious.
What makes it blue?
The color.
You would have to ask Fletcher.
He's well,
it's funny, Marcus, because how many people name something colors and when they show it to them, it's just green weed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. You're like, check out this blue red weed. It's like
Although I will say I remember getting blueberry back when, and that had a bluish, purplish hue to it.
Yeah, there's no blue in Blue Dream.
No, it's more silver-esque, right? It's true.
Just always funny the colors that people name things.
Well, I think it's more the smell on Blue Dream, like the Lisa Santa Cruz cut.
I had a friend named Blue, and he was also not blue.
But was he a dream?
He was somewhat of a dream, yeah.
Oh, you got the new Puffco, the orange purple zinger.
the plasma.
That's a good name for it.
The plasma. It inspired me to give 2 away, actually.
Take no Puffco.
The day that this showed up, I was like, okay, I have these other 2 Puffcos that are here. I need to go out and give these away. And it felt so good to kick. I just got to thank Puffco because they're the ones obviously kicking it down, not me. But it was just nice to lace someone up with something like, it's a big deal to get a Puffco given to you.
Oh, I mean, when I was able to do so last year when I went to South Africa, and there's just nothing like giving somebody a tool, right? Because I remember back in the day, this is the late 80s, and thinking, we were a group of us together, and we're like, all right, well, we're tired of smoking joints. Let's go get a bong. And back then we had to go to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Back in the day, there was no bong shop. So it was an Indian couple who ran this place, and it was the old
rock
school way.
shop.
You had to wait till everybody left, and then you asked to see, could I see your tobacco pipes, please? And
Oh yeah, classic.
and then they went, locked the front door, and then they opened up a closet door out of nowhere. And in the closet door, there was like 6 different graphics. The 1 foot, the 2 foot, the 3 foot, the 6 foot, you know what I'm saying? All plastic with
Oh
the
my God.
old aluminum bowl with the angle slider, you know. And then all of us pooling together, $90 back then, which was a lot of money to spend on a pipe, much less, because that was more than an eighth for sure.
This would have been after the Coke can.
Oh yeah, well after the Coke
And
can.
what about Apple? Where did
pipe.
Apple fit in for your?
No,
we
went
did Coke
straight to wooden
can,
pipe.
Apple.
Yeah. And then yeah. Then once you had bong, then it was like, oh, what can we do with bong? Oh, should we put beer in the bong? Should we put vodka in the bong? You know, stupid things you should never do. Just water, people. Just use water. Just trust me.
Trust me. And then change it. Don't wait till it turns yellow to spill it on your friend's mattress.
Because the worst smell that you can never get out, that will always stay in whatever it spills on, is water.
Those are heated, volatile, organic compounds.
And it stains forever, whatever it touches, right? I mean, there's no getting it out.
If you hot plate distillate and decarb it before you run it through a short path, it stinks exactly like bong water. It's like warped Vox. That's what they are. They're like warped Vox. They are so fucking bad. You do not want to get, in all honesty, I can't believe no one in the industry has turned that shit into stink bombs, because that is what a stink bomb is. You take that.
What was your first bong, Marcus? Everybody here. What was your first bong?
Geez, my first.
I got mine in South. Mine was in South Padre Island, Texas on a spring break, because I'm from Kansas originally, as you can tell by my Chiefs flag back here. But we didn't have, let's say, smoking utensils and devices in Kansas. Well, still don't, actually. Trying to legalize right now, though. Anybody in Kansas, go ahead and put out the good word. They're trying to do that right now. But no, I was down on a spring break trip in South Padre, and I brought back like a little water bubbler. It was like $65 or something like that. It was an insane price for what it was nowadays. I could probably get that for $6. But yeah, it was this little red and white one. I had to package it up and hide it from my parents when I got back. It was pretty fun.
I think it must have been from my buddy Alex. It was the little snowman with the straight mouthpiece and the thing that the little bowl and piece that slides down the middle. It was like it's got to be like 90 or something. 1990, I want to think that I would have bought that thing. It fucking ripped. It was a water bubbler more than a bong, I guess. I don't really know my first bong. First bong definitely probably would have been like Chills or some sort of plastic fucking stupid toxic fucking...
I was gonna ask, like, are we talking like bought bong or homemade bong? Because
well, we did the pickle jars.
I'm not asking for the bong you made in shop.
This isn't EU GMP. You don't need to provide the papers of the metal.
I'll tell you,
certification, please.
the bat bong that we had made, which may be the first bong that we had made.
I hope you didn't use it while you were in the bath.
Quite legendary.
What was the bat bong?
It was literally a bat that we hollowed out down the center, and then put a slide on it. And yeah, that thing,
a literal Louisville slugger.
Oh yeah,
dude, the kid from Winnipeg, Darren, that won the Cannabis Cup one year in the 90s, he made a pipe out of a giant stalk of broccoli, and it still had the head on it. And I smoked out of the broccoli pipe, I'm not gonna lie. And I was like, I'd smoked out of a carrot and a potato and a fucking watermelon and an apple. But this just seemed fucking hilarious. Like, it really was ridiculous. But we had fun with it.
Speaking of ridiculous, we took a cone from the side of the road and made a gravity bong using a garbage can.
Ooh,
Yeah, I highly recommend cleaning the garbage can first. There's
I
nothing like
would.
the funk of
Garbage
the
funk,
trash can
Biles,
water to really fuck up your terpenes. I'm just saying.
gas, garbage terps.
I mean, I like the funk, I like the gas, but that's maybe taking it to an extreme.
Yeah, that's getting into dirty baby diaper. That's
Then we made the hot, we took made the homemade vaporizer with the ball jar and the
I've told the story before. Someone was like, I liked pickle jar bongs. I'm like, yeah, I fucking hate pickle jar bongs because my roommate one night, while we were growing weed and mushrooms in our house in the early 90s in like Manitoba, where you go to prison for doing such things, he decides to go to he's making a pickle jar bong, but he wants to do a double and he needs like another piece. And so he goes to the hardware store at the end of our street and gets there and realizes he doesn't have his like wallet. So he like steals this like 50-cent piece of metal and gets caught and then brings the police home to our house because he has no license or ID. So then I'm sitting with my buddy inside my house and it's like bad. We're just smoking weed. The whole place reeks like weed. We're just like sitting in my living room and there was like the kind of a big window right here. And if I looked outside that window, that was my porch where people would come up to my front door and we hear the infamous. And I'm like, damn, that sounded like a cop knock. My buddy looks at me. He's like, it did. And I just sort of peek out the window and it's also pitch black. And I can see these two shadowy figures with like belts, like Batman belts, holding my roommate who is in handcuffs at my front door. And I'm like, all right, this is one of those moments in life. I got to face this. So the other beautiful thing was that the day before, my roommate was trying to change the bulb on our porch and he broke it. And he couldn't get the glassy broken end out to put a new end out. So when I go to answer the door, before I go to answer the door, I tell my friend, listen, you have to stash everything in this room. Everything in this room is illegal right now. So you have to find a place for it. So he's like, what? And now I'm going outside to deal with the police. And this is like 35 years ago. I open the door, it opens in, and I step out right into them and kind of throws them for a loop because I'm shutting the door behind me. And before anything can happen, right? Because it's pitch black. I tried to turn the fucking light on before I opened the door and I'm like, motherfucker, broke the fucking light yesterday. So now I got to go out there and kind of jump into the police's face while they've got my roommate in handcuffs. So I do that. And this is the most beautiful thing about timing. You think my timing was good?
Trying to not smell like the weed you were smoking just
Dude,
moments ago?
I don't know what I'm trying to do. I'm so fucked, it's not even funny. But this is the beautiful thing of confidence. I just said I was going to deal with it, and whatever was going to happen was going to happen. And so I stepped out in front of these cops. And before they could say anything or I could say anything, I heard my mother's voice on their radio because she's the 911 lady. I heard her be like, Delta 1 Brava bingo, whatever. Like she said some weird, like each letter. And I'm like, that's my mom. That's my mom.
That's me, mom. That's me, mom.
That's my mom. And they're like, what? I'm like, Paulette Richardson on your radio. That's my mother. What's going on? And then they're like, they just lift up the radio. They're like, Paulette, we're here at 168 Lenore Street. We got a guy here who says he's your son. She hits him back right away. She's like, yeah, that's my son's address. Marcus Richardson. Is that what he said his name was? Yep. That's what he said his name was. I'm like, hi, Mom. And then she also says,
said his name was?
Yeah. And then she says,
hi, Mom gets me.
She says my roommate's name. She tells them my roommate's name. And the only reason they were there was to prove who he was. They wanted to see a piece of ID from the house or a piece of mail with his name on it. And so in that moment, my mom gave them what they wanted, and they just uncuffed him and left. It was the most surreal moment. I that was so close to getting in a lot of trouble. Like if
I hope he
those
beat his ass. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean,
he
dude.
suffered from mental health issues, so it was like hard, you couldn't
No, I understand.
beat his ass. I will say though that I did move him out eventually because he was a bit like a squatter, and I was like, I think it's time for you to get your own place. And how I did that was I went and rented him a place and then physically moved him with all of his stuff in a truck and dropped him off and moved all of his stuff out. And I was like, dude, I feel like I've gone above and beyond. I feel like no one else would have done what I just did. And I wish him the best. I haven't talked to him in years, but yeah, he had demons, as we all do. His were just there's the demons show up in so many different ways, but when they show up in here, this is why Terence McKenna said belief systems are the anchor of mankind, because they lead to fervence. They lead to a fervent behavior. When you believe something so fucking religiously, you become the fucking crazy person. And so with my beliefs as I get older, I try to sit on the fence. I try not to like jump too far onto either side. And I'm just like, you know what? Like, I kind of want to live in a world where the best parts of both sides are used, instead of a world where we're like lopsided because it's like, oh, it's got to be this side now. And now it's got to be this side. And I'm not talking about politics. I'm just talking about even, simple relationships that you have with people, work, how you do work, like how you execute in even relationships with your spouse or loved ones or siblings. Yep. This world is a challenge. There is no doubt about it. So for me, the more mock technology, customer appreciation events that I can do in a year, the more of those that I'm going to do. I'm looking forward to hanging out with the crew of people that you guys bring together in Michigan.
No, it's going to be a blast, man. Colin, if you can make it up here in a couple of weeks, come get your hands on the ATS. I got a spot for you.
I'd love to, man. See what happens, dude. Yeah, let's see what's up. I'm super busy, but yeah.
He's like travel, divorce. I don't know.
No.
I'm just joking.
No. It's all good. But like, yeah, I'm super busy, but see what's up.
If not this year, next year. We got a bunch of places to do something, but now we're looking forward to it as well. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you guys are going to do a class, or are you guys doing a demo? What's
all of the above?
Yeah. So actually shout out actually about what I was about to pull up here, my boy over at Legacy Labs, because he's the one that's where we'll be doing a lot of the work at. But no, yeah, it's basically an all-day thing. We're going to have an ATS unit sitting inside of a -20 cold room over there, and we're going to have probably about 30 or so folks that we're going to shuttle from our facility over to the lab. And we got like a 6-hour-ish class where we're going to have a bunch of material. Marcus has an intensive course that he's put together, from literally starting with your starting material all the way through washing, all the way through dry sift, all the way through polishing and finishing. So we're just going to show how the ATS can do all that work at different phases with material going through it. So, and then Tuesday, we have a big golf tournament. We've got a big golf scramble customer appreciation tournament that we put on. It's all sponsored by us. It's free for our customers and anyone that's looking at any of our equipment. So it's kind of a 2-day event that we do every year. It's pretty fun.
Cool.
So I'm gonna get a Puffco for that.
Yeah, you are.
There's a chance that might be. There's a chance that could be in the works there. Okay. We'll have fun prizes. I can guarantee you that.
Hell yeah, you will. Hell yeah.
Which golf course are you at, Luke?
We'll be at Fieldstone Golf Course, which is right by our facility in Auburn Hills. So it's in the northwest part of Detroit.
Which is pretty appropriate because we'll be in a field and we'll be stoned.
We'll be stoned in a field. I'm going to put that first. I'll probably be stoned before I show up to the
course.
Stoned
in field at Fieldstone.
Stone. AI couldn't have come up with a better tag.
Dude, exactly. Exactly. Oh my goodness. What else is going on this summer? We have a whole bunch of different events happening in all sorts of different states right now. I'm not, I haven't heard of a lot though. I have to admit, it seems to be like quiet on the front, whereas, I guess by MJ BizCon, it starts and never ends. It's wild how our industry has turned into, you could go to something worldwide for sure, probably every other day.
Yeah.
Who'd have thought our industry would get to that point, huh?
It's pretty cool. Especially, we kind of have to stay at all these new shows. When we first started out, we were doing 15 or 20 shows a year. Back with like 7-8 years ago when we first started, and it was the only way to get exposure in this space, because unless you're out there talking to new license holders, it's not like you can just go call up Bob because he got a new license over here in Massachusetts or something. Like, it doesn't really work like that. So you kind of have to be out there grassroots in front of it. But this is like the lull before the storm. There's like this month and a half right here. After ICBC, after Mary Jane, after those big international conferences, everybody at the beginning of the year is doing some planning and some building. And right now, everyone's just waiting for the damn crops to harvest. And so it's like they're either waiting for their equipment to arrive, or they're waiting for something to grow, or waiting for MJ Biz.
It's amazing that the states, it's amazing that each individual state wasn't smarter in the sense of, like, first of all, you're going to allow cannabis. So now you're going to give away all the licenses. So now you hold the list of all the people who were licensed. So if I was running that state, I'd be like, let's vet all these different companies, we'll audit them, and then we'll present our audits to the licensed holders, and vice versa. Maybe, in order to lower the taxes on the operators, you charge for the list of licensed holders to companies like yours, and they audit companies like yours, and even maybe request, hey, you know what? Like, it's we're linking you up with all these sales. You would do this with anyone else. We want a 5% commission. And imagine if the state made a commission on every fucking machine that was sold into use, and that money was able to lower the operating costs of the It's so fucking expensive to operate some of these facilities.
It's crazy.
And then the fight to get to a margin. And then because it's cannabis, we are in the most insane. We have not only an industry, we also have a community. And our community leads heavily into, hey, it should just be for free. Like, it's cannabis. Like, wouldn't that be great? It's like, industry is like, ooh, that would really
gotta make money to run.
Yeah, we got to be able to, like, fund this whole thing, like that, so it's a very dichotomous, I guess, much like the female and male cannabis plant, dioecious. It's got both sides at all times, right? You have a community and you have an industry. I try to keep those things, like, I like to bring those together. For me, some people in the industry like to keep them very separate.
I agree with that 100%. I think that's really, you have to have both. It's like, it's one thing to do good for the industry, but you can't do good for the industry if you're not operating in it. And the only way to operate in it is to actually make a little bit of money and stay in business, right? Otherwise, how are you going to be around? So you have to have kind of both sides of that fence. But the states are not smart in how they implement cannabis law. And for us, it's even more unique because we get told different rules in different states and different things. And this local fire marshal over here in Hotunk County, wherever, has his own idea of what solvent-based extraction is or isn't, and what the requirements are or aren't. And so there really is, it makes it hard on the operators, because if you opened up a state in, if you opened up in New York, it could be entirely different than what it would look like in Michigan, as far as like the process or anywhere else in the world. So
well, I'll tell you, those firemen, they love us in the solventless extraction world when they come into our little labs, and they're like, so where's the class 1 div 1 room where you're, it's like, oh, it's just water. Oh, and water, man. There's ice as well. And they're just
careful, don't cut yourself,
Yeah. Don't drown. Don't slip and drown in the bucket. They're very different. But I guess I can imagine that policies and rules that are statewide versus federal regulatory framework. We have federal regulatory framework here in Canada in regards to licensing and all of this stuff. And then as you enter into the business of it, there are provincial rules. that, you know, within reason have to fall under that federal umbrella, because it's not like in the US where that federal umbrella is just kind of not looking at the cannabis industry as much as it used to. It's just, you know, it's now operational under, obviously it said something to the states to allow that, you know, to be like, hey, have confidence and create an industry, and we won't come and kick your fucking door in like 2 years from now and put you all in prison.
Yeah, there was a lot of wink, wink, shaky, shaky hands all over the place. Because honestly, there was worry, depending on the state that I'd go and talk to customers in. I mean, there was worry that it could switch depending on.
But that's always the worry of anyone from the world of prohibition. We have post-traumatic stress in the prohibition world. Like, we are fucked. In any old school cannabis person is never going to trust in any government, anything. Yeah, now, sure. I can say that because I have been that, but I've also been living in a country where they have been doing it. It is totally legal. Like, I just went and bought dank weed at the store that's federally regulated. Like, this same herb that I bought could be legally exported, and someone in Australia could be smoking it. That is so fucking cool. Like, that's we've cool. Never really had something like that in the legal world. It's always kind of just been this, they give us little bits, but they don't give us, you know, in Canada, they just drop the whole rope. Now, of course, the minute they do that, the minute you get everything you've ever asked for, you're going to complain about other things, you know, taxes. Okay, well, yeah, now you're in the real world. It's Canada. Right. It's like you fought to be in the real world, but you don't want to be like, well, no, none of us, like, those fucking taxes suck. None of the operators can afford to lower the prices. So now the taxes are just making the price 25+% more expensive, 24% in Michigan. Holy shit. I was driving with Ryan the last time I was there, and he said, yeah, they passed a thing where the weed people, we have to pay for all the potholes in Michigan. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, our taxes for cannabis goes into the potholes for all of Michigan. And I was just like, okay, that is like, there's not one other industry feeding into that.
No, yeah, last year, out of nowhere, they implemented a additional 24% tax on wholesale distributors. So it was basically, honestly, it was all of my customers who have built out labs all over Michigan. All of them got hit with just a straight 24% wholesale distribution tax. So it was crazy, to be honest. And there's still winning up there. There's still people doing okay, but it's just crazy how you can just dump that onto an operator. Like, how can you add a 24% tax into something you might only have a 15% margin on? Probably lower, to be honest, most of these people.
Well, they're just trying to crush the industry out of existence, which in my opinion for Michigan is not a good idea. It's like, you know, sure, tax it. And, you know, it's because what an awesome thing that all of us just using cannabis could be making the state better. Like any state, like that, the concept of that is fucking awesome. It's like, yeah, notice how we don't have any potholes. We fucking smoked those potholes out of existence. It took us 4 years. It's like, that is a flex.
For sure. And it's just like up in Canada. I won't say too much about it right now, but I'm working on a big project, a THCA isolate project. And they do massive international distribution all over the world. And but it's cool that to be a part of building out potentially one of the largest THCA isolate labs that's going to distribute to literally every corner of the globe is fun. It is exciting.
Are you in Quebec?
Closer to Toronto.
Okay. Very cool. Very cool. Well, awesome.
I can share more about that here in maybe hopefully when you come up in Detroit, I'll have some final.
Yeah, we'll have a conversation about that, because I did just start a company with a couple of partners here in Canada called the Global Hash Collective. And we're doing export of product out of Canada, which is a very good country to export out of, as it's been the one doing it the longest out of, you know, the G7 or whatever, or the G20.
100%. No, 100%. Yeah, we'll definitely collaborate a little more on that. Make some introductions.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a cool idea. I love the idea. Like I said, I love the idea of being able to go on a FaceTime with a buddy in Australia and him have the exact same flower that I have, or the same hash. You know, I talked to a guy in Beirut the other day, Mohammed, go figure. Even before I asked, even as I said, what's your name? I knew the answer. He was not religious, but he was Muhammad, and he was a very nice man. And he just like randomly called me through my Instagram, and I answered and ended up having a nice. He said, "Oh, I really want to get somebody, you know." And I'm like, "Dude, you're in Lebanon, like you." And we ended up talking about how it would be amazing if someone could get the Lebanese government to see the value of using the historical, you know, the embedment. They're embedded in the culture. Lebanese hash is embedded in cannabis culture, very much like Cali weed. You know, California people are just dying to be able to export Cali weed around the world because just the term Cali weed is like a whole fucking thing. Well, so too is Lebanese hash, especially red leb and blonde leb. That's a real fucking thing. And so I had this like 20-minute conversation with Mohammed from Beirut. And I don't feel like I'm doxing him right now because there are quite a few Mohammeds in Beirut. And we just we talked about hash and I said it would be so amazing if your country could figure out the value of exporting hash and making hash available in Lebanon for tourists, for the local people, because it really is part of the history of Lebanon. And he just thought it would be such a good idea too. But he was very, he said 5 years ago, they passed like medical just to kind of shut up the few little people that were chirping. But he's like, they haven't done anything since. They just passed it. And I don't think they have any programs or grow anything or do anything. And so it's a country I don't think of a ton because I haven't been there. But from the hash perspective, I do think of it a little bit here and there in the sense that I just think that Lebanese people deserve the opportunity to be able to, especially the farmers and the people who have been involved in that for so long, they deserve the opportunity to be able to create SOPs that allow for the export of that product and the sale of that product legally in their country. I think it would be fucking awesome.
Well, we're seeing more and more of it too. Just like you said, I'm working with a group in the Dominican, and their government is exactly, they're doing exactly what you just said. They want to take advantage of their culture in a way that makes sense, right? And so cannabis is being a big part of that. So they're legalizing in their community so that they can build out essentially a tourism resort where they can have people come in, stay at the hotel. They're distributing cannabis, but obviously they can tax it and it's all legal at that point. So yeah, I think we're going to see more and more of that. That's not the first group. That's just another one that I'm working with.
Yeah, there's a ton.
They're doing that exact thing.
There's a ton for sure. There just are less that have the history that Lebanon has connected to the cannabis culture. That's like, I would say in the Caribbean, it would be Jamaica for one that has that history, and not only a history, because their history might not be as long. It might not go back as far, but what they did with music and how they chose to export, almost like the frequency of art that was created in Jamaica through the inhalation of cannabis. The result was reggae music. The result was like Bob Marley and Peter Tosh and Bunny Wailer and Joe Biggs and just all these incredible artists that helped export that culture to the world. I really do hope that all, Nepal and India and Lebanon and Afghanistan and all of these countries that have had this sort of intimate connection with hash, I hope that they too can one day ship product around the world through legal channels without being worried about getting busted or, shut down. Because when I say that, through legal channels, all I mean is that so they can do it unencumbered. So, that's what it means when we say through legal channels. It's not like I'm trying to shit on people doing it through the black market. It's just shadier. There's vectors for potential that can happen in that are not the same as when you're just doing it with all the right permissions. Like companies here are literally taking pallets full of product and putting it on a British Airways flight and just flying it right into London. Like that is how you want to move product. Not like hidden in suitcases and worried that someone's going to take it and maybe get someone in super tons of trouble. The mule, like, holy shit, that person's going to jail now for how many years? Ouch.
100%. Yeah. I mean, That's why, you know, it has to be FDA approved. All the products need to be vetted. All the buyers have to be vetted. You know, it's, you know, we're opening an international lab in Thailand, and you know, it's all, everything's got to be approved a certain way. It's got to be, you know,
On both sides.
process.
On
Yeah.
both sides, and
It's all
every
about
different kind.
process.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's exact. And my partners have been doing this for almost 5 years. That's the huge advantage of Canada, that it's just been happening here for so long. There are going to be so many countries who come online, I suspect, in the next like 2 years, maybe less, that it's going to be outrageous. The advantage I feel that my partners and I have is that they've been doing it for 5 years. They've done it so many times. There are little obstacles each and every time, and each country that deals with the other country, depending on which country you're dealing with, it's like Luke mentioned with states, it's all different. Every country has a different regulatory framework. And luckily, Canada, when you make your framework the most ridiculous, then you can pretty much ship anywhere because your bar is set so high. In fact, most of these other countries came here and copied the bar, like Australia and New Zealand and some of these other ones. I do have a special guest coming on next week. I wanted to mention. I don't know if you guys follow the Cannabis Wise guys on Instagram, but this guy's been going to the DEA hearings. He's just like, I guess he's camped out in his van. Yeah, he's camped out in the van in his parking lot.
Following him for sure. It's the only
he's been
getting.
Yeah, exactly. So he's going to come on next Sunday once it's all over, and he's going to give us a breakdown on each day that he was there and do a full like presentation on this. Because I told him, I said, look, we're passionate. We talk about this. Some of us know what we're talking about. Some of us don't.
I want to bring Michael Crowitz in next week then for that one for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Policy talk for sure.
Yeah, we'll see what's going on over there. And hopefully we'll have a good show. Looking forward to it, actually, I think.
No, it's rather fascinating because it's to give people perspective. All right, in 88, when there was an original challenge to the DEA's rescheduling, Francis L. Young, their law judge, actually said, hey, marijuana should be legal. It's arbitrary and capricious that it's not. And the DEA overrid their own law judge. Okay, just to give you historical perspective. And over the years, many people have tried to remove cannabis from Schedule 1. One being that John Getman, who was the former he was one of the former heads of the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws, normal. And, you know, things didn't happen while he was there. So he spent 20 years fighting rescheduling of cannabis. And in the end, it was the DEA who said that, sorry, we can't do anything about changing it because of the treaty. Now, that's when Michael Crowitz and our other friends decided to go at the treaty. And that was in 2008. Okay, so giving you just a historical perspective here. And in doing so, it spent the next 12 years working at the international level and got medical cannabis removed from the most dangerous drug category. Okay, so this is why all of this matters. And why does it matter now is because yours truly and Michael Crowitz spoke with our own federal government in 2022 and reminded them of this situation, why things are going the way that they are going, and that you have used this excuse about the treaty, and the treaty changed. Well, our State Department and the International Narcotics and Law Enforcement were like, well, there wasn't a significant enough change in the treaty, was the United States excuse for not changing it and making medical cannabis legal in all 50 states. So that's shortly 2 weeks later after that last call we had with the head counsel of the INCB, the ONDCP, the Office of National Drug Control Policy, Joe Biden came out with the whole rescheduling situation. So Then we saw Trump kill the rescheduling situation. So giving you all a historical perspective about why all this matters and why it's so significant that these hearings that are ongoing with the DEA has completely flipped the script. What happened to Judge Young will not be happening here, because the United States government, the DOJ, the HHS, and the FDA have come out and said medical cannabis has a medical use. It is a medicine. And by doing so,
accepted medical use.
accepted medical use.
Right.
So
Wouldn't you think the patent would be enough? Like the US government owning that, like, wouldn't that
But
really just be enough?
that's already expired, that patent. They really didn't do much with it as much as they could. You saw Germany and Israel actually make medicines that were intramucosal and actually helpful to humans. Regardless, that these hearings are happening, we tried to, of course, we applied to be in the hearings, and we were rejected because the dynamics have completely switched, ladies and gentlemen, to the point that the DEA's law judge is actually defending Schedule 3 and is defending the science of HHS, the FDA, and the DOJ, which is why basically all of the prohibitionists that have been let in, where everybody is screaming, "Oh no, Chicken Little, the sky is falling," the opposite is true. The opposite is actually happening. Is basically all the prohibitionists have been given one last lineup to speak before their collective execution. And the best thing about it is it's not in the media. Nobody hears it. So I literally say it's a last swing that's not going to land even. And top of that, the judge is going to defend Schedule 3. So by having this gentleman in, who's the only eyewitness I'm aware of there to this process, he's an integral piece of the pie to understand about what's transpiring, because even through the things I saw this week, which was Dr. Bertha Madras even saying it was Schedule 3. And why does it matter? Well, she's the head of psychiatry at Harvard. And for her to be used as an anti-cannabis person, which she is, and with which Michael Krawitz is beating her down at the international level, she uses her Harvard influence and lies to try to push misinformation. And she even had to admit that it had medical use. So that Project Sam, Kevin Sabet paid for her to be there, and all she did was corroborate the government's own information. So the irony is, I say, so thick we're all choking on rust dust, because it's just so heavy and so thick. However, that's kind of a brief synapse, ladies and gentlemen, about why this matters and what's going down, because the rescheduling has been a mega shift in the United States. And of course, what happens here ripples through the rest of the world. There.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm looking forward to having him on. I think it'll be a good discussion. Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry to be so long-winded there. It's a lot of history being condensed into a lot of history that's about to take place. It's not as tectonic as when Canada legalized it. However, it's a step towards something that's going to resonate for years to come, because once Schedule 3 is there, now the arguments change forever. Now we can go for Schedule 5 or descheduling outright, of which there is some legislation trying to do so. However, I think it's trying to do too much in its DOA. But let's
hope it's a step in the right direction.
That's all we can do, and that's what we're trying to do is keep our hand on the steering wheel.
I mean, to me, as if I just don't think of too much of it and I just think the basics, what does it mean? It's like, well, they're acknowledging that it has medical benefits. Well, fuck me, that's pretty big. I didn't understand completely, but for like patients that use cannabis and also need access to other medicines, like it being Schedule 3 will allow that to continue. It should change a few things in that sense. And I think what you said most importantly is it could lead it to, sooner down the road. Fuck, did that ever take a long time to go from 1 to 3 though? How many years was that? Does anyone know the amount of years that took? Because that is an outrageous.
Many.
Yeah, many. Holy fuck. Etienne with this long gray beard. fucking
Schedule 1, I think
160 years old in the corner.
Schedule 1 came out with
NA.
the Controlled Substances Act, which was 1970, but I don't think it was officially moved into like 73-ish, right?
So
'Cause
my
that's when they-
whole life.
56 years.
Yeah.
Oh, longer
Yeah,
than my life then.
right. Because
Fuck.
that's when
Exactly
they
56
basically
years.
threw away the Tashkin report, right? Which, you know, in between setting up the CSA and moving it into Schedule 1, they had Donald Tashkin proved that smoking cannabis was going to give you lung cancer just like smoking cigarettes, and that didn't happen, right?
Well, I mean, listen, I think Al Gore wrote a book a while ago that said the world was going to be underwater today. And so sometimes people get it right and sometimes people get it wrong.
Some
It's a
places it
dangerous
is.
game to commit to your belief system that hard and prophesize. I mean, listen, in this case, I suspect, well, probably in both cases, it was, you know, not necessarily their authentic belief system, but something they promoted for business or for a side or for an agenda. I mean, the first for sure, guaranteed, no doubt about. They're going on there saying that it's going to give you lung cancer without any proof whatsoever. That had to be an agenda against cannabis. I don't
Models
pretend
for climate change have plus or minus error bars at plus or minus 10, 15 years. We can't say exactly what's going to happen. If you look at the loss of polar ice mass just alone, the loss of glacier mass throughout the world, and you go to these glaciers that are calving huge chunks of ice every freaking day, it's amazing that sea levels haven't changed.
But as a scientist,
More,
you know,
right?
at one point the whole Earth was like there was an ice age, and all that
Right.
all that ice melted,
Right.
and the
Right.
world
At a
didn't
macro
end.
scale, there's a lot of self-correcting mechanisms.
Yeah, and there are, in my opinion, there are. I live near the ocean. Guess how much the ocean has gone up in my entire lifetime? Zip. It's stained into the rocks. It's like right there. It's at the exact same level that it's always been. Now, I'm not trying to say that, hey, one day I also have glaciers all around my home. I have one of the largest glaciers. It's 650 miles long, called the Pemberton Ice Caps. It's a series of glaciers, and you can go snowmobile those about an hour from my house. All I'm saying is that there could be potentially multi-thousand year weather cycles on this planet that we don't take into account when we're like when we're seeing something happening in. Also, if you look at our ability to monitor weather and how the timeline that we started monitoring the weather and where we were monitoring weather, which initially was outside of cities, which we then eventually figured out we need to bring it closer to see the effects that humans are actually having on the weather. It's a flawed system, to say the least. So I am optimistic that I hope we don't destroy this world. I still kind of feel like a message that was gifted to me on a very large dose of psychedelics, which is the world could shake humanity off of it in the blink of an eye if it needs to. I've settled with that. I think I feel good about that. At the same time, I'm not opposed to you doing an event to raise money for climate change. I'd probably even go and support you and help you raise some money.
Well, I mean, it's just if you just think just in terms of how much carbon, right, we've wholesaled into the atmosphere since the Industrial Revolution, right? And if the amount of carbon dioxide, I think, is like over 4,000 ppm or something, I forget, or 400, I forget. Don't quote me on this, but anyway, whatever level it is at now, it's going up faster than the natural drains. It's kind of like they call it the CO2 bathtub for good reasons, because it's kind of like the drain on your bathtub is open, but the water isn't draining as fast as the water is filling up, right?
Right. Which is why we have more vegetation on the earth. We have a new chunk of vegetation the size of North America that exists because of all that, which they don't talk about very often. I have a climate change guy that lives next door to me. He's a scientist. He's been studying weather for like 40 years. And I should have him on Hash Church one day, dude. You would have very interesting conversations with this guy. I'm not necessarily opposing it. I do see it as a very strange agenda. Like, for instance, here in Canada, we've spent billions of dollars on carbon tax because we want to offset, our carbon footprint. And we spent billions in the last 10 years, huge taxes on gases and everything you can imagine. And then they announced the other day that the amount of carbon footprint that we saved in the last 10 years was that of 1 month of China's carbon footprint.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Dude,
meanwhile,
like, how fucking stupid do you have to be to think? And then the guy was talking about the UK. They're doing the same thing, like just literally like destroying the economy over the climate change. And they're going to spend $1 trillion. This woman in the UK parliament wants to spend on climate change. And the guy who did all the math is sitting there going, do you realize it'll be just less than 1% of the Earth's carbon footprint that you guys are trying to affect?
Yeah, I mean, so as it turns out, gasification of the Canadian oil tar sands is one of the dirtiest processes on the planet, and creates a huge environmental footprint. But, you know, uh, those Walmart trucks need gasoline to get, iceberg lettuce on the shelf at Walmart.
Dude, they have a cold supply chain and we don't.
Yeah, it's just our whole economy is predicated on cheap energy, right? And cheapest will always win. And unfortunately, this is the unfortunate truth, is that the price of all alternative energies is directly tied to the price of oil.
Of course.
It's difficult to put oil out of business when your business, it costs a lot of energy to make those solar cells.
Well, when literally everything around you, all of us, not you in particular, me, Etienne, Luke, everyone, Colin, everything around us is fucking plastic and oil. Everything. It's right. Absolutely bonkers.
Right. Oh,
well, and then the whole idea of recycling and just recycling a resource that is literally horrible to have around, and we build industries around recycling something that we should have never even tried to start with. And it's
cheaper to make virgin plastic than it is to recycle used plastic. That's what
all I'm saying is, you know what, people, listen, we stopped using straw. You wouldn't believe what we've done here in Canada under the Trudeau government to reduce our fingerprint. Well, he is now flying on private planes with Katy Perry, drinking plastic water bottles. You had to be here for the last 10 years to see what this guy promoted, to now see the hypocrisy of what he's actually living versus what he promoted. And what he promoted cost the working class people a lot of fucking money. And there's not necessarily a big payoff on it. It's it is what it is. I try to stay out of it myself. I have a little bench down by the water that I like to go sit on whenever I'm getting like too upset about the world. As much as I love coming here every day, Sunday, 4 hours and chatting, there's definitely something to be said to getting off the internet and getting off your phone and going and spending time in a different frequency. Because I swear this frequency, whatever it is, the blue light, the fucking 64 megahertz, whatever it is easy to trigger and upset people. And it's a strange one. Easy to get attacked out there on the internet. I once posted
more hash and listen to fish.
Dude, you know what? I think I'm going to do that today. Do you have a particular show that you would love to inspire me to listen
to? They're killing it on their summer tour. Summer tour started earlier in the week, and
I love that.
They just played 2 nights at Deer Creek. And Marcus, check out the first night. Bouncing Around the Room is typically a pretty short song, right? There's kind of like 2 verses. They kind of go through it. They go through the whole bouncing around the room at the end, and then the song's over, usually a couple minutes later. Oh man, 14-minute long.
Oh my gosh,
bouncing around the room. So check it out. They really take it to the next level. And I think Mike even made a post about it. So Mike likes it. And if Mike Gordon likes it, that means
Dude, it's crazy. Fish is touring and I can go to the US.
Yeah, let's go. Come on, man.
Show, dude. Let's go.
Dude,
Let's go.
what
Let's go. What are we doing? Madison Square Garden in 2 weeks. Let's go. Come on.
A diamond and a rough. Yeah, dude. All right. Yes. If you can come to MSG, dude,
let's go.
Let's go.
It's my wife and I's 30th wedding anniversary.
We'll do
what date is that?
That's going to be July the 27th.
I'm going to be doing my course in Michigan with Luke.
I thought that. Yeah, you guys are going to be in Michigan.
Luke's like, stop fucking talking, Dr. Mark. He's coming to Michigan.
Marcus is going to be like, I'm a little
this might
sick.
have to be put on pause, dog.
Yeah, I hear you, Colin.
Dude, listen, I've only missed the last 29 years of fish, so don't feel bad for me at all.
Luke, I'm sorry, man.
Hey, fish overall. I have plenty of fish heads in my network. I completely understand. Yeah.
Hey Luke, I'll look you up. I'll look you up, Luke. Next time I'm in the Mitten, I come out to the Mitten quite a bit. Got a lot of friends in the Mitten, and yeah.
Absolutely. I'm actually home based in Denver, but I'm in Michigan half my life. So I'm literally in Detroit all the time. I'm actually looking at buying a lake house out there, hopefully in the next year. But
baller.
No. It'll be a mild lake house. We ain't quite doing it like that here at Mock yet. But no, we're I love Michigan. Please hit me up. I'm always in the Auburn Hills, Rochester Hills, Birmingham area. That's pretty much where I'm at. So it's like right in your neighborhood.
My wife's family is from.
Yeah, love that area, and that's where Rob's from. His whole family's from that area as well. There's a lot of roots there, for sure. Would love to hang out. Can't wait for that, actually.
Hell yeah! I can't wait to come down to the US and do an actual like hash church with all of these guys in the same room. We'll have our own. We'll have these right. These little guys right here. We'll have like one of these guys each. We'll look like the ASMR.
Come on, Marcus. When's the next time you're in Farnham, buddy?
I don't know. We're waiting right now for the province of Ontario and Quebec to accept. You don't just get to sell product in Canada. You have to apply to the province. You have to show them the SKU, give them the breakdown, explain the history and the whole story, and then they decide, do we have enough of these SKUs? Because if they got 116 live resin vape pens, they might not say yes to the 117th one. There's a cap where they usually, unless it's really special or unique or different. And so that's what we're trying to do right now is get accepted. So that is happening in, I believe, September for Quebec, or maybe September for Ontario and October for Quebec. They only do it twice a year, if you can imagine, Dr. Mark. This is another difficult thing about the cannabis industry. Say you're rocking and rolling. Say you do a SKU, but you feel like you released the wrong SKU. You put all this money into it. It's not hitting the way your marketing team is like, look, you should have released this one first. Okay, let's go back to that one. So then you grab that one and you apply for it. You got to get a G10 number. You got to do all this stuff. Well, it can be not accepted. It could be, they could say something like, oh, there's an umbrella on the logo. That is, that's towards kids. We can't have that connection. So now you can't have, it's like, yeah, but the brand's called Umbrella Brands. It's like, well, you got to get rid of the umbrella. Can we have the word umbrella? Yeah, you can have the word umbrella. So they have all these very, very strict rules, which is, once again, why it is so easy for Canadians to export to almost any other country. Because the rules, the bar that has been set, which is not EU GMP, but it is certainly as close to like hospital SOPs that you can get without actually being there. Dream until your dream comes true.
That sucks that you have to put all that upfront development work, not knowing that you're actually going to have a SKU that you can make the money back on. So there's a lot of money at risk if you're, trying to blow out like an entire room that you're dedicating towards, a single SKU, or if you're making a few different, products from that. Yeah. What happens? So if those, so what you just said, so they could basically deny the product, right? And now you can't sell the product. Can you reformulate the oil, or can you?
Yeah, you could figure it out. You do it all through R&D, and you could absolutely reformulate the oil. It's not going to be a gone thing. There's just all these little things that obviously need to be fixed. You know, a perfect example is for our export market. Canada made very specific rules where we could export, but we can't import. So we don't generally import anything from cannabis. And that's to protect the industry here. They didn't want Canada to spend 3 billion building an infrastructure and then have Colombia come online a year later and be like, we have 800 million grams of flour that we're going to sell to your country for 5 cents a gram. And so they kind of protected the industry that way. But one way that backfires is that if you're sending a huge batch to a country and the country denies it, like the paperwork's wrong or something's wrong, or they do their own CO, something happens that it gets denied, it can't come back to Canada. It gets destroyed. So you really want to be careful on who you're doing in any of these countries. You want to be careful how you go about doing export, because that's just one of the ways the export game can come and bite you. Bite you on the ass, that's for sure.
Yeah, it seems that you could still lose a lot of product that way, right? I mean, there's still like lots of ways that you can go wrong, or
that
the system could do you wrong.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you dropped a giant jar and broke it on the lab floor, like in my opinion, I should be able to pick that up and clean it out. That's what I do. I can clean, but in Canada, if I drop hash on the floor, it has to go in the garbage. Like even if it's like 4 kilos that just fell on the floor, it's like, what do you mean? It's like powder. I can just clean it up, filter it. Like it'll be, they're like, no, that is absolutely unacceptable. That is not going to happen ever. And everything's on camera at all times. Everything's time stamped and on camera.
Yeah, so I could almost understand something like that, but just, not allowing a product for basically no reason, right?
But there would be a reason. The reason would be like whatever the reason that they come up with. Generally, it would be that they're the buyer for an entire province. And if they buy wrong, that product sits for months in the warehouse. And when it sits, then they just hit that company up that sold it to them 3 months ago and has already spent all the money. And they say that we're getting an RTV, your product never sold. And that's a return to vendor. And that's even worse because now it's coming back old and aged. It's already been paid for. So you owe the money. You're going to have to pay the government back that money, the provincial government. And so this is their way of kind of saving you that problem. Like if they don't think it's going to sell and they say yes to it and they just say yes to everything, inevitably, believe it or not, when you curate the menu for an entire province or state for that matter, it's a huge responsibility. You really have to curate properly. Like I was in Michigan recently at the Kings of Cannabis in Monroe, and they must have had like 500 different gummies on the fucking, like it was so confusing, Mark. Like it was a giant wall of Mylar bags that were pushed on these little, and they were all so similar but different. And I was just like, do you have any 10 milligram gummies? And the girl's like, she's like, yeah, these. Oh, wait a minute. No, those are 40s. 50s, 40s. She's like, you just have to cut them in half or in quarters. Because the way that industry is everyone is doing the same, like 400 to 100 milligrams, these massive doses. There's 400 options of 50 milligram gummies at like the King of Cannabis. And it is like seemingly wildly unnecessary. Now, in their defense, I've heard that they are the busiest dispensary like in America. Like
really?
These guys crush it. And a lot of that has to do with not just Michigan, but surrounding states, Ohio.
Well, they're right on the border. So Monroe's down there on the border, right near Toledo, right? So I wonder.
Yeah, a lot of people from Toledo come up. In fact,
yeah, I'll bet you a lot of people from Toledo come up.
So Ohio has worse tax laws, and the industry is like it's easier for them to go to Michigan and cheaper.
Yeah, as soon as when you're
Illinois people go there.
Yes. When you're going north on I-75 and you cross over the Ohio border into Michigan, as soon as you get to Michigan, like there's this big sign that says Michigan, right? Big blue with pine trees and lake scenes and stuff like that. And then as soon as you
And
get
weed
beyond
ones.
that big blue sign, I mean, my God, it's almost like every 50 feet there's a billboard,
Yes.
scantily clad women holding
Ooh,
bags of weed and all kinds of shit.
I miss those ones.
So like so right there when you get into Michigan, there's Monroe and Dundee and all those cities that are down there. Yeah, I guess again they're doing lots of business on with gummies, Mark. You got to think that again, that's just a lot of wholesale distillate and maybe even hemp derived D9, that's sneaking in to that supply chain just so they can make them cheaper and make more money selling them. But yeah,
Yeah.
you go into those dispensaries and literally it's just like three walls of just racks
Products.
of gummies,
Like
of gummies.
it's
Gummy.
unbelievable.
It's really weird. So at Joyology, this was the place I went to up in Rochester Hill or up in Auburn Hills rather. They have deli style, right? I was like, I don't know if I'd ever been in to Cali doesn't have deli style, does it? ATN? No, I didn't think so. So I think this was
No,
my
it's a
first
product
time.
system. It has to be already an approved SKU.
Yeah. So deli, oh man, you go in there and it's kind of like when you go to the Whole Foods and there's like wholesale like oats or wholesale rice. They just have like these big bins, right? So they have these big bins and they have the strain names on the bins and everything. And yeah, to me it's like no one's asking about those gummies that are plastered on the wall. Everyone's just going after deli style weed. At least when we were in there, I only saw
I
I
went
saw a
in to
couple.
buy gummies.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
interesting.
I just
I
wanted
saw a
some
couple
10
people.
milligram gummies while I was there. I like to pop them here and there. But they were all 40s and 50s. And I ended up finally finding some 10s. There was one company that did 10s, but the poor girl, it must have taken her 15 minutes to find it in the wall.
See,
Right,
Dennis
but so
Portner
a
owned.
lot of the products on the wall don't get sold, but they're really in colorful packaging. So when you go in there, it's just color everywhere. I mean, you're just overwhelmed, kind of like walking into a Vegas casino high on LSD. There's just so much going on and so much. So it's like you're kind of overwhelmed. So we went back like two and three times because finally we're like, okay, we know where the concentrates are. We really like these concentrates. This concentrate here, which was a 2 grammer, they actually had for sale. I want to say that these things were like 14 or 15 bucks a piece. And we were there on Tuesday, so it was buy one, get one free. So the deals were pretty good. And man, they had a lot of people in there. I would say probably in that store, maybe it was like about a 250 square foot, maybe about 300 square foot store. There was probably like about 20, 30 people in there at all times. There was a lot of people in there. So business is doing well in Michigan, it seems like.
Yeah, except the tax, the addition of the 24% tax is really shitty on what happened went down there, and it's really affecting the
But when it's
what
buy one, get one free at some bargain basement thing, it's like, well, okay, so you pay
yeah,
a little
but
more.
that's for a limited time, right?
Right. Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
not always going to be that way. I mean, it's just how it is.
But there's a lot of competition, so it seems like there's a lot of dispensaries in the area. And yeah, Marcus, I asked for your brand in a couple places and no one knew about it. And then I asked, so
Hit
I
me
was
up
looking.
next time. Let me know where you are, and then I'll show you the stores that are the
Right.
closest to where you are. That's usually what people do because we're not in all the stores. I think we're in like, you know what? I could look. I don't know if we're in like 100 stores or 50 stores or what we're in, yeah, but we do have a good team that are working on it and they give me weekly updates and I'm looking forward to kind of cruising around with them in a couple of weeks.
That
Little
made me
agua.
think, having that discussion about products that hadn't been yet made me think about this company called MMJ International, who is in the fight right now with the DEA hearings. And interestingly, this week, I'm going to quote from an article that I read. So the DOJ filed its opposition in response to the motion to allow people to speak, etc. So the department's legal team argued that Intended beneficiaries of the CSA are, of course, the American public and scientists, medical practitioners seeking legitimate access to controlled substances for research and patient treatment. Furthermore, the DOJ argued that the two anti-rescheduling groups that are motioning the DC Circuit to stay the April 2026 order are doing so under self-serving interests. The DOJ referenced the National Drug and Alcohol Screening Association, NDASA, an organization that promotes drug-free workplace, which argued that federal Schedule III listing for state-licensed medical cannabis will impose unrecoverable costs for its members, including employers who will be forced to revise their drug testing policies, as well as medical review officer practices whose physicians interpret drug test results. MMJ International Holdings, MMJ, an aspiring pharmaceutical company whose subsidiary holds an active DEA Schedule I analytical laboratory registration, argued that it invested $10 million and 8 years of research and development to create cannabinoid-based drugs along the pathway to the FDA's approval and the DEA registration. In response, the DOJ argued that these rescheduling interests don't align with Congress's express findings in enacting the CSA. Therefore, their asserted injuries fall outside the zone of interests of the CSA, according to the department's legal team. Petitioners, quote unquote, are not the intended beneficiaries of the CSA, nor do their interests systematically align with the American public, according to the DOJ's July 2nd response. Petitioners invoke the interests of 1, drug screeners in avoiding loss of business and increased costs, 2, employers in avoiding the cost of revising drug testing protocols, and 3, a pharmaceutical company in preventing market competition. Petitioners thus invoke pocketbook interests served by keeping all marijuana in Schedule I. These two parties are among the broader set of 9 anti-rescheduling litigants petitioning the DC schedule review of April 26 in order the order in the underlying lawsuit, which aims to vacate Schedule III order entirely. So basically, the department said that you've got no product and you've got no standing, which is pretty interesting because those people had tried to navigate the previous waters as a pharmaceutical company, and to have the DOJ say you're fictitious because you have no product to compete on the market with is a bold slap in the face and something that the majority of the media is not paying attention to. So I thought you, the church going public, might appreciate that, and a bongs up to the judge there. Just saying.
Yeah, well,
what a cool time where we have the people who are going to dictate this policy defending ours. Like never before. It's nice to have that type of influence in the right places, because to be quite honest, I had gone to lobby days a few years ago and was in DC and sat with a lot of folks and a lot of legislators from a lot of different states, and at that time it was so far off of anybody's radar. There was an example given to me by, I can't remember which I wish I could, because it was just, it really put things in perspective. But essentially they said, we're sitting here talking about legalizing cannabis, and while certainly it's important, it's going to impact a lot of people, there's been parents of dead kids lobbying since for over 15 years on, certain gun reforms and things like that, in these same chambers for over a decade, and you've seen how far we've gotten with that. And I got that said to me in DC by legislators' teams when we were like, why aren't some of these common sense things being done? So anyway, it's just a quick side note, but it put a lot of things in perspective for me. And so now we're in a space where we have judges who are arguing logically in favor of an industry that's barely becoming kind of legal federally is pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Gotta
somebody
stay alert.
Yep, the world needs more alerts. Somebody put in the chat the Global Marijuana March, and that was started by Dana Beal.
Dana Beal.
Dana Beal is
Damn,
busted again
he's in
in
jail.
Idaho, and so we just VAC just wrote a letter to the parole board on his behalf, asking the state of Idaho to release him because he's 79 years old. Him being in jail is not helping anybody. And anybody who's watching this, you contact the state of Idaho's Department of Corrections and tell them to release Dana Beal. He's a cannabis political prisoner. He happened to be traveling through the state. He was raising awareness on Ibogaine for Ukrainian soldiers. So Dana Beal has been, if people don't know, he's former head of the Yippies, been busted many times. The last time he was busted, he was sentenced to life and he was on his deathbed. So they sent him home and he lived. And then he got busted again. This time with lots of pot in Idaho, literally smoking a joint in the van when the cop pulled up. So
that's what he got busted for, smoking a joint. He didn't have bags of weed or anything.
He had bags, so they found the bags of weed in the vehicle.
Oh, yeah. How much weed did he have?
Like 50 plus pounds.
Oh,
like
fuck, Dana.
Not
Damn.
Dana doesn't travel light, so
I remembered it being like some amount, but 50 pounds, dude. Holy shit.
Don't quote me on that,
hemp.
but it's somewhere around him. But it's
man, like I got a collection, I got flavors.
It's all THCA.
THCA, it's hemp.
He was trying to help veterans, so that's why we wrote a response on his behalf. So Dana Beal is once again in jail, and we're trying to get him out, ladies and gentlemen. So please,
what does 50 pounds get you in Idaho?
A lot. Here's the problem. They put him in a cannabis diversion program, and they were going to let him go. But of course, Dana Beal's an ornery cannabis guy, and he's not going to any diversion program. So apparently he failed it twice. So they want to put him in for 8 years.
Jesus Christ.
So,
oh my God.
And of course, to a 79-year-old, that's a death sentence. So this is why we're trying to say, hey, this isn't serving anybody in Idaho. This isn't doing anybody any good. Send him home. But
dude, ornery is right. Like driving through Idaho with 50 pounds right off the bat, pretty crazy. Blazing a fatty while doing it? Oh my God, dude.
While broke down on the side of the road. That's how the cops found him smoking a joint. Yeah. That's exactly the look on my face. My mouth dropped and my head dropped. I'm like, oh shit. God damn it, Dana.
Jesus Christ. Well, and I get it. You shouldn't have to not be able to smoke a joint when you break down with 50 pounds of weed in your truck. Like that's probably one of the greatest times to smoke a joint.
I was about dang right?
Probably well, the previous one, he got caught in Kansas, right? Which is another state you don't get caught in. And then he gets caught in Idaho, a state you definitely don't want to get caught in. So it's like, holy shit, Jesus. Talk about bad luck and a bad timing.
Well, we'll wish him the best. Hopefully some people can get in touch there and turn it into action. But that's tough. I don't know how you can get someone released if they got busted with 50 pounds.
Again, we wrote a letter on his behalf, and we'll see what it does. As we have an international presence, so maybe that'll make a.
Oh, I hope so, dude. I know. I just
all
mean
we can do is
me.
try, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a lot better than nothing, that's for sure.
If not,
they sent him home once already.
Dana Beal, DanaBeal, in Idaho prisons. I don't know where, but write to him, fill up his commissary, people.
But they don't necessarily have to keep him in the state, do they? Or is that
state? It's a state charge.
Ooh.
Yeah,
it's not a federal charge.
Not very extradition-y.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know how that whole system works down there, and I don't want to.
No, and it's odd because Idaho is completely surrounded by states that it's legal, and they're like, no, no, we don't want it legal. They tried to pass a state constitutional amendment that they will never make it legal. That's how much they don't want it. But the people in Idaho back in 93, I did rallies in 3 different cities in Idaho back in the 90s, 93 even. So, you know, that was 33 years ago. So they were stoners then. And, you know, that was back during the whole Earth First thing. And they were hiding a whole bunch of the Earth Firsters up there because there was a big fight between the loggers and Earth Firsters in the trees in Northern California and shit. It gets crazy.
Oh, yeah. It leaked up here. Trust me. It was crazy. Motherfuckers were spiking trees, dude. Like that shit was life or death. That was not normal activism. That was like a next level, like, dude, like that guy
people
could
died,
die.
and that's why they went after him to try to kill them. I mean, it was a blood for blood thing. It was ugly, 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 ugly. And it happened to be, I happened to just prance through it just because cannabis crosses all socioeconomics, and it was just what was going on at the time.
Damn. Yeah. Fucking crazy. Crazy. Well, at the same time, I'm grateful. There's so much to be grateful for. We got to be grateful. We're always fucking tripping out in Hash Church about the things we don't like and the things we want to make better. But I will say that I am also grateful. I'm grateful for the community. I'm grateful for the industry. I'm grateful for the people, the technologies, the flowers, the plants, the genetics.
And I'm grateful sometimes that prohibitionists die, like Lindsey Graham. So, you know, I'm just going to say that.
Damn. Well, that's definitely one level. I don't know. I guess there's a line for everything. I guess I could accept that.
Just to clarify, I lobbied his office personally. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've been in his office. So I speak from
experience. Yes.
Yes. So I'm not just trying to chip off the No, I've dealt with his office and them specifically. And even the time that I went there, it was a time when they actually supported abortion. Did not support abortion, and they were getting calls. The poor interns, the entire time we were in there, they were receiving angry phone calls from women, and they're trying, ma'am, you can't say that. No, you cannot threaten the senator like that. No, ma'am, you cannot blow up. I was just sitting there on the side listening to the people respond, and it was absolutely just holy shit. It must be a terror, because you have to understand, a lot of these people volunteer to finally come work, and they're paid minimum wage, and they sit there on the phone and get absolutely abused on the circuit, you know, because they're just answering the phone and have to deal with the repercussions of what these senators and representatives do. And you can see the taxing on their faces because you get to sit there and watch them. I mean, they're like 10 feet away from you as you watch 5 of them on the phone try to orchestrate. And every single one of them was in crisis mode the entire 15 minutes. I was just sitting there waiting with an appointment to be seen. And it's just absolutely just fascinating sociologically. And as a person who used to work the phones, I can just imagine what was being yelled in their ears, because they were like, ma'am, I have to hang up now, or I have to call security. That's an FBI threat. You know, all these types of things that they're getting on the daily. And this was a Thursday. So yeah, it's crazy.
That is crazy. Well, I'm still grateful.
Absolutely. Grateful every day. So say the Grateful Dead, right, Mayor Mark?
Yep.
Yeah.
Another grateful day, was it?
Boards of cannabis. What does your hat say?
Oh, was my hat say? It says the Boards of Canada.
Oh, of Canada. Nice. Mine says Made, from the Made Gallery in Chicago. I guess they had their BHO rosin blind taste test the other day there.
I won't show off this one. This one's fairly boring, but this one's a little more fun. It was my 4th of July hat.
Cough.
Cough.
Hell yeah, dude.
That
That's
was the one
that's a good hat.
That was the one I've been rocking. Shout out to the girl I'm seeing right now.
Fuck off. That's a
She
good.
got that for me. It was great.
Oh,
I couldn't.
shit.
I laughed every time I saw myself in the mirror that day. I just literally laughed out loud.
That's
And I did
epic.
that, by the way. And I was in a great kind of a real American mood here in the U.S. And so I was definitely giving it a real aggressive cough. Anytime
Hell
I
yeah.
said it.
Hell yeah. That's what's up. Well, we got about 23 minutes left. I was going to call it a day today at noon. And yeah, I guess we'll have Cannabis Wise Guys on next week and Michael Krawitz as well, as Etienne had mentioned. So looks like it's going to be a good show. I was trying to get Lee Jaffe, the photographer, the guy who took all the pictures of the Whalers and played harmonica with the Whalers, and just had this really unique relationship with the band and Jamaica for most of his life. Lee Jaffe. I'm not sure when it's going to happen, but I'm going to keep trying to get him, and that could happen here in the next couple of weeks. If he is available next week, I'll probably have him on for half the episode and have Cannabis Wise Guys on for half the episode, because I don't think we need to do a full episode of talking about what the DEA talked about in court. But I just think a solid half episode would be pretty killer. I'm sure there's a lot of conversation to be had there, and hopefully it can be positive. Because goddamn, the world is full of negativity these days. I think it spreads faster and easier. I think people are just like, people don't slow down for awesomeness, but they definitely slow down for tragedy and chaos. They'll pay extra attention to that shit, like get into it. I think it is what it is. Fuck off! Fuck off! Yeah, that's pretty funny. What else?
Yeah, that's great.
We got 20 minutes left. Anything you guys want to cover before we head off on our own separate ways here in Hash Church? Anything? Bueller. Usually Dr. Mark starts some super crazy interesting shit like 5 minutes before I'm gonna go go home, cancel.
What's a mock unit cost?
Dude, you've done some really good ones.
To get
400,000.
Oh,
I'm just
sheesh.
joking. I bet you they have one for 400.
That's a hell of a
like
tactic there, Marcus. That's what you hit them
40
high.
left.
That's right.
High, so that way when I give them the real number,
Luke's like, I can do it for 1/10 that price.
You got anything 1/100th of a tenth that price? No.
Yeah, it's pretty close to that. No, the ATS unit is about 40K all in, and that's so essentially, yep.
And what's the throughput per day for the lab guys out there that are turning this into a business? Like, what's the throughput?
Yeah, so obviously it's going to be material dependent, right? The better material you put in it is going to process it quicker. But essentially we're saying about 1 kilo every half hour. Probably, and that's being conservative. And this is more for the polishing step. So like what we're describing here is like you're putting, a 60% head material in. Maybe you can do more than that, but just giving you a ballpark. 40-60% concentrated head, and it's going to take it over 90% concentration. So, and we have customers that start with lower concentrating starting material, like 20%, but that's going to take a little longer, right, to process that same kilo if you're starting with a less quality input.
You might have to rerun it or something, things like that, right?
And they have different size. Go ahead.
So what else? Just putting my curiosity hat on is so I'm going to be doing static to put my material into this. Can I use the material with just doing a tumbler and then going directly from a 220 right into it?
Yep.
Yeah, you just said the guys that do 20% heads, that's got to be tumbler head.
Yeah.
Yep, that'd be exactly right. So we have customers that'll just go straight from that tumbled material, right? And then what they'll either do, it depends on how much material you need to get through. But we have certain customers that have, say, 2 ATSs. They have a different micron screen on each of the ATS units. So we have this, the 73, but then we also have like a 120, a 220 and stuff like that. So we have different sizes. So you can put a different size on and put the material in, right? And then you're just collecting in 2 spots, taking that material, putting it into the next ATS. You can swap those screens out. They're very easy. It's just a clip out, put a different size screen on it.
Staging. You got it.
Why don't you Why don't you explain the unit, like, get detailed on like how it's working, doing what it's doing.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, happy to touch on it super quick. I mean, essentially, it really is a fairly simple piece of equipment as far as like how it's operating. Like when you get it, it comes on a single skid. It's about 4x4 by 4 feet tall, and essentially there's an HMI screen, which is where you're going to control everything from, and it's all recipe driven. So essentially, you're just going to kind of set it and forget it after you put the material in. But there's a material kind of collection area, and it's right at the top. It has a like a polythene lid, like a plastic lid, and we take the lid off. You put your material in. It's going to be, the material is going to go right on top of that that micron screen. So material sits on top of the micron screen. Put the lid in. Right underneath of that screen, we have kind of it's like a wand. And so essentially what it's doing is it's moving around like this underneath the screen, and it's sucking air from the environment because we pull a vacuum. Basically, we pull a vacuum down under the screen, and we're going to it's going to suck air up above it because of the vacuum. It pulls that air up, and that's how we get the material to agitate, so to speak. So it's sucking that air up, and then the vacuum pulls the material vertically through the micron screen. So the idea is to orientate the heads and the stalks vertically. So when we agitate it, it pulls the stalk and the stem down through the screen, and all your trichome material is going to stay on top. And so essentially you're just setting it and forgetting it. It pulls a vacuum. We suggest that they sit in a under 30 degree under 30% humidity environment. Like when we do the hash class here in a couple weeks, we're putting it in a cold room. So we've got like a 10 by 10 by 10 negative 20 cold room that we're actually going to have it operating in. So essentially, put your material in, start it. You can adjust how quick or how slow that fan moves based on how much agitation you want going on there. It's kind of cultivar dependent, how much you need to.
Whenever you're dry sifting, the humidity, the moisture content of the air, it needs to be low. And your temperature, the cooler that your temperature is, it doesn't have to be minus 80 or anything, but the cooler that it is, the easier the resin is to work with. And the death of sifting and the death of machines like this is clumping. And when you get the clumping, and here's the thing, you could easily buy this machine and take it home and have all your hash clump up. But that has nothing to do with the machine. It has everything to do with the environment in which you set up the machine. You want to make sure the machine doesn't produce too much heat with that thing that's spinning as well, because high grade resin, of course, is going to be affected by that. It would melt immediately upon touching it. So yeah, I'm excited to get my hands on it and play around with it here in Michigan. Like I said, I'm showing up. I feel like I'm showing up a couple of days early. So, I don't know where I'm staying or what. You have my itinerary, but let's definitely play with it before the event.
Yeah, I'm getting in Friday before, so I'll be there all weekend. And I know that we're going to have it set up there that prior to me even showing up. So, no, 100%. Yeah, I'm excited. It's going to be fun. One, just because, we have customers already doing a lot of pretty much all the stuff that we're going to be documenting, but it's going to be nice to do it all in one place with a good hash community. It's going to be awesome.
I arrive on Saturday, so I'm get there the next day. So hopefully we'll be staying like in the same area.
Yeah, for sure. We will be.
Awesome.
Did that answer your question?
For sure. Yeah, no, I'm just trying to give the audience and everyone, even including myself, like just the best understanding I can of the unit.
The only other thing I would add that you had asked is, we have people that just are going straight from tumbled material, into the ATS. And then we also have other customers who already are doing maybe some sort of static, of one variety or another. And, they're having to run that material 2, 3, 4 times through that in order to get the right head, right? Yeah. So we're getting plugged in at the very end of that process as the polisher step. So they'd throw that material through the static, because you can get through some decent material, as far as amounts, right? As like a nice little middle ground. And I know we get a lot of customers that get from that 20% to that 40, 60% pretty easily. But I think we all know, like, once you get into the later stages of that polishing, that's really where it becomes more challenging. And this is kind of just a really clean, contained system where when you get to that valuable material, right, you don't want to be losing anything anywhere. And so the ATS is a way to make sure whatever you're putting in, you're going to capture it in one of two places. Over 99% containment of all the material going in, you're going to get back out of it. And it's just efficient at that finishing step. So we do have customers that already have, an existing process in place, and this is literally just adding it to an existing process to speed it up and clean it up, I guess is kind of an easy way to put it.
Yeah, for sure. So I imagine it like being next to an electrostatic machine in a cold room, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. Cool. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I remember the first time I saw a similar thing, which was not the ATS, but it had to be something that the ATS was built on, which is like an air jet sieve, which they have like smaller versions for. They're still like $25,000 for like little laboratory ones, but Skunkman Sam had access to one, and for a while I thought it was how he was doing his heads, but he was like, no, it's like you can do it, but it's like, no, I can do it quicker the way I'm doing, versus this little machine that he had. And this was, of course, his static tech with his hand that nobody knew about at the time. But my God, he was telling me about that in like 2001 or 2. And I bet you he started playing with it in like 94 or 95 or something.
For sure.
Which is just wild.
The idea of it's been around, but I mean, you nailed it. There's just a few considerations, and having that environmental control and making sure we're keeping the humidity and the temperature down. And it just allows you to keep it moving efficiently. I mean, otherwise, you're going to have to stop, and then it becomes cumbersome, and then, et cetera, et cetera.
So, an air jet was basically created to determine particle size. That was fine powders, ranging from like 5 down to like 2 microns or whatever. But it did use a combination of positive air pressure and negative vacuum.
Yeah, I remember reading about this on forums years ago, like 2005, 4.
Fletch brought it up at one point in time as well. That might have been that timeline, because it was Sam who had been the only person I'd ever talked about it. And then some years later, and I don't know if it was 4 or 5 years or 10 years later, I don't have a good memory of that anymore. But it was Fletch who started talking about jet sieves as well. And I can't remember what year he was doing that. But this thing is different. It's big, it's unique, and it's designed to do exactly, it's not designed to, define particle size. It's defined to isolate pure heads from everything else, which is pretty damn cool.
No, it's great. Super cool, man.
Got to get it happening and popping, and it's in Michigan too. I mean, goddamn, I could be
get one.
Throw one in the lab.
Get one down to
get Papa Sift working it. Yep. I'm sure they're ready to crate it up and ship it off. 40 G's. It's definitely,
we should definitely talk.
Unique.
Set up a call. I'll be in touch.
Dude, let's just have the call right now.
Let's go. What are pricing terms?
All right.
Looks like you guys. I accidentally popped back in. Don't want to mix myself into a private convo here. So.
Just kidding around.
No, we're live to hundreds of people.
Everybody's gonna get the deal flow. What's
230 people, actually.
It's good.
Yes, it's very good. I want to shout out Puffco and the Press Club. Thank you guys for being awesome. Press Club. Here, how about this? There we go. Look, there's my 2 sponsors right there. Puffco, Press Club. Puffco, Press.
Got a big shout out to Press Club. Love those guys.
Yeah, dude. I told them I want to bring them on to Hash Church this like, in the next, before the year ends. I'd love to get them on this quarter. But if they want to wait a little while longer, I'd love to get them on the next quarter. But I think just hearing their stories from I think it's time for, the audience to get to know the Press Club guys. Puffco's been on. Jolly Roger came on. We had a good episode with those guys. Jolly Roger came on, I want to say, with quite possibly one of the last episodes that Skunkman Sam was ever on. Like it was, if it wasn't the last, it was the second last. So I'd also like to shout out those guys, Skunkman Sam, Wade Laughter, our elders who we lost in the last year. Miss you guys. Truly, truly. I mean, I knew how lucky I was while it was happening, but I know even more how lucky we were that we got to have you guys on this show for so many years, coming here of all places, our little hole in the wall at Hash Church. Both Wade and Sam just made the decision to call their Sunday morning home, Sunday evening for Sam, 6 p.m. there, but pretty awesome. Shout out to Diana. Hope you're doing well. Oh, go ahead, Dr. Mark.
I was just going to say, I think I remember Sam's last church being the solvent one where we had Eric.
That's right.
Right. And Kind Bill. I think I went to Kind Bill's place to broadcast from there.
Yep. You're right.
I think, was he not on the next week because he was traveling? Like he was in.
Yeah, he was going to. Yeah, exactly.
He was in Cali, and I know Ryan was in touch with him. And then there was that picture of him and Wade that was posted. I think that was like the week that he was in Cali. I think the week before he passed.
Yeah,
right?
Ryan took him down there and then snapped that picture and recorded some of that conversation, which is awesome to have.
Right.
Really cool. Good that Ryan got to be down there and just helping out and putting weights. I was so happy to see Wade and Sam. You know, for those of you watching, not all of us have met in person. We don't always get together with one another. The amount of time we've spent together, like not in person, is astronomical. It's more time than I've spent with any other human beings like on earth outside of Hash Church. So it's unique and awesome when we get to meet one another and see one another in person. And so hopefully, Dr. Mark and I have
Colin and I can contest to that, right? Because we were just hanging out in Tahoe.
Yeah, man, that was awesome. I can't wait to do it next year. We got to get Marcus out.
Is it in Tahoe again, or will they change the spot?
No, it sounds like Kevin was. I don't know. I'm not gonna speak for the group, but I'll let them announce it. I don't know, but it sounds like it might be.
Okay, well that would be great because I'd love to go back to Tahoe. Or go to Tahoe, not go back. I'd love for it to go back to Tahoe. That would be amazing.
Super difficult to get flights to Reno, but
yes.
I ended up coming a day late, man, because my flight got canceled. It was like,
fly to SFO and drive. I think that's.
I almost did that, man.
How long's the drive?
Well, if you let me know, I can give you a ride. I live in the Bay Area, so
it's only 2 hours.
Well, I was gonna fly to Sacramento. Sacramento would be like 2.5 hours, right?
No, SFO to Tahoe.
No, an hour. It's about an hour and a half from SFO to Sac, and then it's another hour. So
can't you fly into Tahoe on a helicopter or something?
I mean,
I would.
If you're Larry Ellison, maybe
you can fly in. You also can fly into Sac, Colin. Sac has a solid airport too.
Yeah, that's what I was looking into, is Sac, and then driving up from Sac.
Yep.
To your comment, Marcus, anything's possible. I like your thoughts, so.
There you go.
I'll fly in with that in a helicopter.
Hey, I want to thank Luke for coming out today from Mock Technologies and telling us about the event and having me out to Michigan, and super looking forward to that, hanging out with him and Ryan Wall, aka Papa Sift, the hash maker for the Bubbleman brand down in Michigan, who's just such an awesome human being. It'll be good to see the whole team down at Yield Distro and just cruise around. And anyone else that's watching, reach out to me on Instagram if you want to link up and chill out in Michigan. And if you're one of the lucky ones, get in touch with Luke through Mock Technologies Instagram, and you can sign up for this class. It's going to be pretty fun. It's going to be pretty fun. All right.
Yeah, Marcus,
anyway,
you're the man. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next week. Don't know what it's going to be about, but we will be there. Thank you, Colin and Dr. Mark and Etienne, as always. Thank you, Caleb, who popped in for a little while earlier. We missed the Dragonfly Earth Medicine today, but shout out to those guys. Hope they're doing well. And as always, really, may the full melt bless your bowl sooner than later. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.
Later, guys.